Will do, Chair. If our commissioners could please turn on their cameras so we can establish quorum, please. Maria, I'm counting 8, 9. Commissioner Saravia is there. Yes. Okay, we can get started, Chair.
Okay, perfect. And good morning, commissioners. Just the request was for our cameras to be on if during the meeting. So I know it's sometimes I do real quick to cough or whatever, take a drink of something. But if our cameras could be on, was the request earlier if you didn't hear it. Okay, all right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our September 4th, 2025 California Student Aid Commission meeting. The time is 9:01 a.m. and we will go ahead and begin our meeting with roll call.
Chair Cifuentes.
Here.
Commissioner Cardoza. Absent. Vice Chair Day.
Present.
Commissioner Doppelmore. Absent. Commissioner Dow.
Here.
Commissioner Gary. Absent. Commissioner Haynes.
Here.
Secretary Maxey.
Present.
Commissioner O'Brien. Absent. Commissioner Robinson.
Here.
Commissioner Rodriguez.
Present.
Commissioner Saravia.
Present.
Commissioner Valladolid. Absent. Commissioner Vang.
Present.
Commissioner Cardoza.
Present.
Quorum is established.
Thank you, and be careful, Commissioner Saravia. I know you looks like you're at school. Be careful on us. I don't want you falling down. All right, welcome everyone. We'll go ahead and move on to our next item. If we item number 2, if we have any comments on items not on our agenda. So if we have any public comment at this time in all the different locations across California today, I'm going to count on all our commissioners in their different public spaces to share if there's any public comment for items not on the agenda. I don't see or hear anyone saying there's any public comments, so we'll go ahead and move on to item number 3, the chair's report. So good morning, everyone. It's so great to see everybody again. I know we just saw each other a few weeks ago, so it's been nice. It's been back to back, so I love it. Today's just exciting to see to see everyone across California. We used to always say that I used to always say, because I'm in Riverside County, it's like there's more happening than just Sacramento. So when we see everybody from across the state come together in different parts, from UC Riverside to Los Angeles, Cal State LA, all over. It's just exciting to see everyone represented in different parts of our state. So welcome back. I know so many of you are back with school year has begun. All of our school districts out here in Southern California and Riverside County have started. So we're going on our third week for some of these schools. So it's been a great opening so far, and huge excitement. I know our Cal States have returned, and I know our UCs are gearing up. So just want to say welcome back to hopefully a positive, amazing school year, and we're just excited for this year and the work that and conversation that it took place at our retreat. I keep a huge shout out once again and a thank you to Southwestern College for hosting us, and I keep talking about them and just how exciting and inspiring they were as a campus to be. And I keep telling everybody, you got to go over there, you got to go visit them. So just it was a great experience to be there and to see such a phenomenal campus. So I know today we may move a few things around in our agenda as we go, and one of them is during our my report. We're going to go ahead and hear from our two committee reports as well. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Vice Chair Day. So he's going to provide us our lab committee report, and then we'll go ahead and turn out to Chair of our Student Impact Committee, Commissioner Rodriguez. So we'll start with Commissioner Day, please, if you want to go ahead and give us a report from our lab committee that took place yesterday.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, Commissioners. I am happy to report a really exceptional lab committee yesterday. I'm excited to download with you some of what was provided to us, which essentially was a conversation about the budget and a 3-year outlook on those financials. I want to say a special note of appreciation to Dr. Gonzalez, of course, but also want to acknowledge Lily Myers, our Deputy Director, and Sandy Melching, our Budget Officer, who were a significant part of the presentation and really did an exceptional job of not only making it clear that we're wrapping up the year appropriately and in the black, but also really based upon our strategic framework, talking about how we're going to be in a strong financial position over the next 3 years. So a 3-year budget package was presented by the group to the committee, and that 3-year package reflected ways in which the budget has been rethought and the kind of strategies that have been engaged over the last year, but also that are going to be continued over the next 2 years. I'm going to share a few of those with you that I think are important for you to understand as we think about how CSAC is going to move forward and make appropriate decisions budgetarily. So some of the multi-year strategies that have been utilized to get us where we are, but also will continue at some level going forward. Obviously, I think we all are aware that there was an internal hiring freeze that was put in place. And certainly as we go forward, bringing back positions or looking at positions is going to be based on the framework and really looking at it from the perspective of strategic investments that are going to be necessary so that we can reach those goals that are associated with our planning framework. Obviously, reduction of expenditures, particularly looking at the IT space, which obviously I think we all know are expenditures that are significant, but really whittling that down, specifically whittling down the number of consultants that we had to a much more reasonable number, and obviously reducing those expenses. But also, some of you know that part of the way in which organizations funded is through something called reimbursements. And while I won't go into the long and the short of that, essentially we serve as an organization that is reimbursed by other state agencies, and that we help them to sort of operate their programming. And so that provides additional revenue for the organization and part of the way we think about our budget. So as we certainly have those now, but really looking to maximize those kinds of reimbursements as a revenue strategy going forward over the next couple of years. Obviously, we all know that we've made significant reductions in travel costs, and to the budget for travel is I would say minimal. And so the team has done a really extraordinary job of thinking about travel budget and reducing that to a level that is only about $59,000, which is very small when you think about the size of our organization. And obviously, we've all adjusted, doing a lot of our work virtually. Also, going forward, looking to maximize philanthropic opportunities. We all know that has been a part of thinking about the funding of programs and our organization, but thinking about how we will continue to do that over the next couple of years. Looking at the organization itself, administrative review of operations, what makes sense, what can we adjust and change, whether that is personnel related or just programmatically, and the cost of doing business. And so one of the things what we have found is that through doing that, and the other piece I'll mention is targeted BCPs to make sure that we are adding and saying to the state that we think that we've got to have some additional dollars to be able to run the magnitude of programs that CSAC is empowered to run. So a couple of targeted BCPs, right sizing around operating expenses and equipment, but then also looking very specifically at cybersecurity, which obviously we're all thinking a great deal about, given the magnitude of information that is coming in and out. Cybersecurity for everybody's organization here is substantial, and it is certainly also substantial for CSAC. The long and the short is that the executive director and team provided us a 3-year budget that puts us in terms of where we are right now, real dollars, realized dollars, but also for the next 2 years, a projection that keeps us in the black over those 2 years. Again, it's a budget presentation, so it's about 30 minutes long. So I'm giving you the short version, but I think that will help us understand as commissioners that there is a real strategy for us to have a solid budget over ending this year with a solid budget, and over the next 2 years, being able to have a strong budget to be able to do the work that we do. We will need to continue the strategies, to be clear. These are, and some of the, obviously 2 and 3 years out, those are some projections, but the realistic projections that I think the committee left very confident about the positioning of the organization and the kinds of actions that have been taken, but also are going to be taken over the next 2 years. I want to pause there and give an opportunity for any of my colleagues on the lab committee to add anything to what I've shared thus far. Okay. All right. Well, hopefully that was comprehensive enough, Chair Cifuentes, and I hope that for the rest of the commission that made sense to have a full understanding of where we are budgetarily.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Day. All right, we'll go ahead and move on to hear from our Student Impact Committee. I'll go ahead and turn over to Commissioner Rodriguez, who chairs that committee.
Thank you, Chair Cifuentes, and good morning, everyone. Great seeing everyone. I'll keep mine very brief at the interest of time, but only to say that we had a great meeting yesterday, and thank you to Jessica Deichman and everyone at the team. We heard a report from WestEd, and as so many of you know, we've been partnering with WestEd to really review our CalSub consortiums. We have 16 of them. So for anyone wondering what is CSAC doing out in the communities, we can always say that there's 16 different touch points all across California, and you're doing an amazing job. And so what this report was all about was about finding best practices of how our CalSubs can improve, do better, reach more students, meet the moment. Just to highlight, 57,000 students have been reached, and these are high school seniors that have been getting help with FAFSA, California DREAM Act. And as we learned, it's not always just about the financial aid component. It's about the social emotional support, basic needs, all these different touch points that our students need to go to college and be successful. Really looking forward to the final report. I know that the CSAC team is going to publish it for the public to see. This is going to be basically our guiding post for a lot of the improvements that CalSub does, and it's all in alignment with the student success blueprint. So I'll leave it at that. I do want to invite my fellow commissioners, those who are on the committee, to fill in, but we thought it was a great presentation. Gave us a lot to think about as far as what we'll do in the next couple of years. But really, again, appreciation to Wested and their work, and also our CSEC team.
Do we have any questions for Commissioner Rodriguez? Okay, any public comment on those two reports?
Chair Fuentes, this is Commissioner Maxey. I'm not on the committee, but I did sit in on the meeting. And this, of course, is my baby being K-12. I just want to give an extra shout out to the CalSO programs up and down the coast, because they are the worker bees. And the largest haul is with your first timers, which are your high school students. One of the comments that came out in the recommendation was their number 6, broaden early outreach. I'd like to put that as number 1. And I know that means shifting some other things. It's not that the other things are not important, but just getting this information out throughout high school, not just in that impactful senior year, would assist us down the line. When you get to your senior year, you know so much more about it. And I know that means shifting a lot of things, because as we say, let's do this, then, you know, you just add something else to the platter, not the plate, and you don't take anything off. But a shout out to those CalSO consortiums, everyone that works with them, and all the work that they do throughout the state and touching those families. Hard to reach areas when you think about those that are not even in major cities. And they go above and beyond driving and meeting and those kinds of things. I really appreciate them, obviously. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Maxey. And I just want to echo what you shared. I think there's so much opportunity, but more importantly, rationale for us to go deeper. What I've realized in the consortiums out here and this in Inland Empire is we focus a lot on like juniors and seniors, but that's reactive, right? It's like we're meeting where you're at as a junior, as a senior, and not getting proactive. And with the conversations we're having around HBCUs, those are conversations we have to start having earlier with students, because financially to drop on a family to go out of state to college senior year, it's not easy for any family, regardless of income and all that. It's a longer conversation. So we really want to get momentum around some of those opportunities. We have to start earlier, and then all our work around CalKids. I think that's what really excites us in the CSAC team. And I'll say for Catalina Missler, when the opportunity came, it's like they'll know what CSAC is and CalGrant is as early as 1st and 2nd grade through these partnerships. And so so I'm with you 100%. If the families become more and more involved in these post-secondary decisions. And so I think it's important. So just thank you for that. And I also thank you to the CalSOPs. They are boots on the ground for sure, helping thousands of students. And some students, I've seen them, sometimes they're so busy, like they don't even get to capture everyone they helped, right? Because did they sign in? I don't know. We're just helping them. Like we're just, whoever walked in, we're just helping. And so sometimes I don't think they even validate and get all the credit for students they help. As much as they should, because when they're going and it's an event, they're just going. They're just, you need help, we're here. So just huge shout out to them and all they do. Okay, with that, any other questions or comments for any of our two updates? Okay, all right, seeing and hearing none. Before I turn over to Dr. Gonzalez, I just once again want to thank the CSAC team for the work last month to bring us all together. I know it's not easy to do, but a lot of ideas and a lot of future conversations came from reflecting on our blueprint, reflecting on the plan, and just excited for this year and for all the opportunities and we're bringing for students in California. So with that, I will go ahead and turn it over to our executive director for item number 4 from Dr. Daisy Gonzalez.
Good morning, commissioners. Good morning, Chair Cifuentes, Vice Chair Day. I missed having Commissioner Maxey and hearing her voice and always reminding us about the folks on the ground and how our relationship starts and has to start a lot earlier than the one that we currently have. So thank you. Here, Commissioner Maxey. I want to make sure that I also thank our colleagues in Sacramento, Commissioner Robinson, Cardosa, O'Brien. Thank you for making the shift. to the downtown area. Maria and Jose, I need to honor you too this morning. You woke up incredibly early. Commissioners, we had a shift in locations. And so the team had to pivot last night. And so we have 3 commissioners in downtown Sacramento at the Foundation for California Community Colleges. So we want to thank them. This morning, we're meeting in LA, in San Diego, in Sacramento, in Riverside, San Bernardino. And that's the part that still makes me really excited about the work that the team and I do. Not only are we in different communities with our CalSOPs and RCOs on the ground, but with each of you. I know sometimes it's hard to meet in a virtual reality, but we're getting it done and we are making incredible progress. I know that you've got a 5-page report on what the entire team has been doing at CSAC collectively from me, but I want to just uplift a couple of the things that I see, not just in the report, but that I'm incredibly proud of now that it's been approximately 14 months in this incredible role. Today in your agenda and what's in those 5 pages, you'll see very clearly how we have made data more actionable, not just in our decisions and how we prepare as leaders across the state, but how we empower our partners. And they get very clear about resource allocation, which is the hardest thing to do for an organization. It's nice to admire data and to look at it and then say we're going to use it. But this team is actually doing it. And we're actually pivoting and moving resources to communities that need us. And that work would not be possible without Dr. Moldoff and Dr. Fuller, who will be presenting today to you as we are getting those initial numbers around our impact for 25-26. We also, while we have been doing this, have gotten an increased number of calls. So you see that in that report. Tay and his team report additional phone calls, not being able to manage the volume of need from students and institutions who have inquiries, but then needing to pivot in real time. So to our Deputy Director Kang, Alessandra Morrison in that unit, and our Chief Deputy Catalina Missler, they were pivoting in real time, whether it was reaching out to that CalSO, putting out a new guidance memo to answer a bigger question, to be able to deal with the number of phone calls. That was done. While we can and should be doing more, that team did incredible work. And you see some of that evidence in what they were dealing with this year. We also were able to stabilize our technology needs, not just in prioritizing and trimming down, but getting very targeted into what was actually needed as we were needing to transform multiple new programs that were coming in, whether it was cutting the Golden State Teacher Program in half and needing to make technology updates, to cleaning up some of our technology infrastructure when it comes to the way that we deploy and administer financial aid. And in a very short amount of time, our new CIO, Dora Acker, was able to secure $346,000 from the California Department of Technology as a part of an assessment that we voluntarily asked for. And then we signed up to be a part of a stabilization fund as a part of the California Department of Technology. And so we have brought in 4 key staff, a total of $346,000 to the agency for the rest of the year. So 1 year, we get those folks for 1 year. That is an incredible accomplishment in a short amount of time. We also have been able to focus on our internal infrastructure, as Vice Chair Day shared, not just in balancing our budget, but implementing things like our learning management system, focusing on our DIA, bringing in actual help to deploy. It's nice to have goals, but you've got to implement those goals and you've got to measure your impact. And that's the work that our Deputy Director, Lily Myers, and Sandy and the HR team have been able to do in this amount of time. And then the last 2 things I want to highlight is just our innovation in our outreach, communications, and the partnerships that we have. We just had our final statewide implementation work group meeting. While we were all sad, we honored 4 key outcomes. And I think at the top of that list, it wasn't just the fact that we bounced back and stabilized financial aid applications. It wasn't really about all the outcomes that we could measure in data. It was really how people felt. So we reached 30 new organizations, brought them all together, our segments, and people were actually sad that it was our last meeting. They wanted to continue the work, and we will continue that work because our next 26-27 statewide implementation work group, our very first meeting is on October 7th. And this time around, we've invited 8 new organizations. So we will have a total of 38 organizations joining us so we could row in the same direction. I want to thank Como, Kim, Michael, Shelveen, Israel, Jared, Sarah Beth, and our new Deputy Director, Deichman, for the work that they've done in a short amount of time. And you've seen everything from a new campaign in multiple languages to the way that even though we don't have all the dollars in the world, that we're partnering with new organizations so that they get the resources, or organizations like the State Chancellor's Office can work with us to pivot all of their resources during a really critical timeline. The last group I want to honor and thank is Edmundo and Anna, who I see on the screen. Without them, we wouldn't be able to stay student-centered. We wouldn't be able to address families and institutions and the concerns that they had during a really volatile time. They have helped us remain student-centered through their regulations, the guidance, their legal opinions. And every time we face a new challenge, that's the team that we go to first, just to figure out, is this something that we need to be reacting to, leading, or assessing? And so Edmundo, Anna, thank you for your work throughout the last 13 months, along with supporting every single division as they were implementing. So I want to close up by just sharing that I'll be joining the team in multiple presentations today. So this will not be the last time that I get to share a little bit about the last few months, but really proud that we'll be sharing with you that we've met our 5% goal. This is a year of stabilization for financial aid applications, 5% increase. I remember the conversation we had, whether it should be 3% or 4%. We said a 5% and we met it. And while the next year may bring new challenges, we now know it's possible. And we now know that California students and families need us. Overall, you'll see a 9% growth. While the numbers are not final, that is a really big growth period for us. I like to share in different spaces. The only thing bigger than that is a credit card interest rate, or perhaps your vehicle loan interest rate. But the other number you'll see that should be a marker of the need and the impact of CSAC, 2.2 million Californians. That's how many applications, approximately how many applications came in. Those were numbers from last week. So as Jessica and Ryan are presenting today, 2.2 million Californians. We've been here before as a state. And so now that means that we now need to continue with our advocacy because there is immense need. And now that we've reached this goal, we have to still ask ourselves, who else are we leaving behind? Who else have we not reached? And how do we help them not just achieve their dreams? How do we keep up our end of the commitment when they are coming to us for help? So with that, I'll be co-presenting in a few different items. And I just want to say thank you, because we wouldn't be able to achieve this work without your support and your commitment and your belief that we could get here. Back to you, Chair Cifuentes.
So much, Dr. Gonzalez. Do we have any questions for Dr. Gonzalez? Do we have any public comment for Dr. Gonzalez's report?
Seeing none.
Okay. All righty. Thank you so much, Dr. Gonzalez, and we look forward to the day to see see you involved in all the different reports and presentations. Thank you. So at this time, it is almost 9:30. We are going to go into our next item, item number 5. It's a closed session item. And so before I turn it over to our General Counsel, Edmundo, I'm going to go ahead and just share. We should be back by 10 o'clock, 10:10. So 30 to 40 minutes at the most for those of you who are joining us as well. So I would say by 10 o'clock, no later than 10:10, we will be back. So I'll go ahead and turn it over to you, Edmundo.
Thank you, Chair Cifuentes. Under the California Government Code Section 11126, Subdivision A, the California Student Aid Commission hereby provides public notice that it may meet in closed session regarding the appointment, employment, evaluation, performance, discipline, or dismissal of a public employee, or the report of the Personnel Evaluation and Nominations Committee regarding the appointment, employment, evaluation of performance, discipline, or dismissal of a public employee. For purposes of this notice, a public employee includes an individual exempt from civil service within the meaning of subdivision E, section 4 of Article 7 of the California Constitution. In addition, under California Government Code section 11126E, one of the commission may also meet in closed session regarding pending litigation as defined by subdivision E2BI. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much. I know that we will be moving into another Zoom room. So commissioners, just hang tight. I know they'll be moving us to a separate room.
I will be taking care of that. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Chair, looks like we're just having some camera resets, but we
Okay.
have our commissioners back on.
Okay, do you want to go ahead and start or?
We can start.
Okay, so I'll wait for you, once you start the recording, then we'll start.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. We are back a few minutes early, but thank you so much for waiting for us. We are back from our commission closed session, and at this time, we can report out that we have adopted an executive director evaluation process for the 2020-25-26 fiscal year. So that's all we have to report from that item. So we'll go ahead and move on to our next item is item 6.1. We have some approval of our commission minutes, commissioners, that we need to take care of. These are all action items, so we will be doing a roll call vote for each one. So our first one is approval of our commission minutes from the June 25th, 2025 meeting. You go ahead and if you had an opportunity to take a look at those minutes already. And I'll give you a moment, and then if not, I'll need a motion to approve our minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, so I think it was hopefully you were able to catch.
Cardoza, yeah.
Okay, all right, perfect. And then our second was Commissioner Vang. Perfect, thank you. Any public comment on these minutes or this item? Okay, so we'll go to a roll call vote, please.
Chair Cifuentes,
Aye.
Commissioner Cardoza. Aye. Vice Chair Day. Commissioner, you're muted.
Sorry, I unmuted. Aye. You got me now? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Commissioner Dopplemore. Absent. Commissioner Dow.
Abstain.
Commissioner Gary.
Aye.
Commissioner Haynes.
Aye.
Secretary Maxey.
Abstain.
Commissioner O'Brien.
Aye.
Commissioner Robinson. Absent. Commissioner Rodriguez. Commissioner Rodriguez. Commissioner Saravia.
Aye.
Commissioner Valladolid. Absent. Commissioner Vang.
Aye.
The motion carries.
Thank you so much. All right, we'll go ahead and go on to our next item, 6.2. It's approval of our commission minutes from our August 13th, 2025 meeting that just took place last month. This is for day one of our meeting. And so we'll go ahead and give you a moment to take a look, and then I'll need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Get a
Second.
Second.
Okay, I think I heard Commissioner Cardoza and us as a second, and Commissioner Maxey. Do we have any questions on these minutes? Okay, any public comment? Okay, seeing and hearing none, we'll go ahead and move to a roll call.
Chair Cifuentes.
Aye.
Commissioner Cardoza. Aye. Vice Chair Day.
Aye.
Commissioner Dopplemore. Absent. Commissioner Dow.
Aye.
Commissioner Gary.
Abstain.
Commissioner Haynes.
Aye.
Secretary Maxey.
Aye.
Commissioner O'Brien.
Aye.
Commissioner Robinson. Absent. Commissioner Rodriguez.
Abstain.
Commissioner Saravia.
Aye.
Commissioner Valladolid. Absent. Commissioner Vang.
Aye.
The motion carries.
Thank you so much. All right, we have one more approval of our commission minutes from August 14th, 2025. This was day 2 last month. This is item number 6.3. And I'll go ahead and give you a moment to take a review if you haven't already, and then if I can have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Okay, Commissioner Maxey, if I can get a second.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Commissioner Cardoza. Do we have any public comment on this approval of these minutes? All right, seeing and hearing none, we'll go ahead and move to a roll call vote, please.
Chair Cifuentes,
Aye.
Commissioner Cardoza. Aye. Vice Chair Day,
Aye.
Commissioner Dopplemore, absent. Commissioner Dow,
Stepped out.
Commissioner Gary,
Abstain.
Commissioner Haynes,
Aye.
Secretary Maxey,
Aye.
Commissioner O'Brien,
Aye.
Commissioner Robinson, absent. Commissioner Rodriguez,
Aye.
Commissioner Saravia,
Aye.
Commissioner Valladolid, absent. Commissioner Vang.
Aye.
The motion carries.
All right, thank you so much, commissioners. All right, we're gonna move on to item number 7. This is our, item number 7 is an emergency regulations for the Golden State Teacher Grant Program. This is also an action item, commissioners, and I will turn it over to Dr. Jessica Moldoff, our Deputy Director of Research Analysis and Program Innovation, as well as Ana Manuel, our Assistant General Counsel.
Thank you, Chair Cifuentes. Good morning, commissioners. Education Code Section 69617H expressly authorizes the Commission to adopt emergency regulations for the Golden State Teacher Grant or GSTG program. Pursuant to statute, the Commission published GSTG regulations in 2022. The Commission finds the adoption of such regulations constitutes as an emergency pursuant to subsection H1 and exempts changes to regulations from all requirements of the Administrative Procedure Act, the APA, for the duration of the program, which is through June 30th, 2026. At this time, Commission staff are seeking approval for an amendment to the GSTG program regulations. Deputy Director of Research Analysis and Program Innovation, Dr. Jessica Moldoff, will now briefly take you all through the proposed amendment.
All right, thank you, Anna, and good morning, commissioners. The Golden State Teacher Grant or GSTG requires grant recipients to work at a priority school or a California state preschool program after earning their credential. GSTG regulations, specifically California Code of Regulations Section 30527B, provide eligible exceptions to the service requirement, including changes to the financial circumstances of the school district, covered medical conditions, and active duty status in the armed forces of the United States. The purpose of these exceptions is to safeguard GSTG participants from being negatively affected by circumstances outside of their control. In pursuit of parity across students and in recognition of the diversity of unforeseen obstacles that they may face, this proposed update to the regulations would add an additional exception to the GSTG regulations in the event that their federal employment authorization is revoked. Without this exception, these GSTG recipients may face barriers in completing their service requirement that were not anticipated when they initially signed their service agreement. Adding this exception to the GSTG regulations removes this potential barrier for GSTG participants. Commission staff elicited feedback from participating institutions and partners in drafting the proposed changes. Partner institutions and organizations agreed that this change would clear the path for additional qualified teacher and pupil personnel services credential candidates to participate in GSTG.
So commission approval is required for staff to begin the regulatory process. Upon commission approval, staff will submit the regulations to the Office of Administrative Law. Staff anticipate the amended emergency regulations to become effective in the week of October 1st, 2025. The proposed emergency regs would remain in effect until the duration of the program through June 30th, 2026. Staff recommend the Commission approve the proposed amendment to the emergency regs and authorize staff to prepare and submit all required documents to the Office of Administrative Law and to make any non-substantive changes to the regs and supporting documentation as requested by the Office of Administrative Law. And so Dr. Moldoff and I are here to answer any questions about the regulations or the GSTG program. Thank you.
Chair, this is Commissioner O'Brien. I have a kind of a program question, if I could.
Please.
So in terms of the GSTG program recipients, who's kind of like their main point of contact? Who's the equivalent of the high school counselor for a FAFSA or CADAA applicant that they are sort of working with most? Is it CSAC? Is it their school district?
It would be the school where they're doing their credentialing program.
Okay.
Yeah, so they just a regular financial office.
Got it.
Financial aid office.
Because I obviously see the need for this, and I think this is very important. I think just to want to make sure that one thing, and I'm sure we've thought about this, is communicating with the school districts and the schools to make sure that they know that this change was made and that they can then, provide that peace of mind and assurance to recipients that, hey, this will not disrupt you or set you back tens of thousands of dollars in debt for something that you had no control over.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, our team, the GSTG staff, they have regular meetings with GSTG coordinators at different campuses. They also have ways to reach out to them to inform them of any changes. So yes, we definitely are going to make sure that everyone is aware of this change.
We also have a GSTG FAQ that is updated regularly.
Good. Good.
I don't have a question, just a comment. Really want to thank you for being on the lookout for this for our most vulnerable populations, especially during this time. So thank you both for your work on this.
Other questions from our commissioners? We have, at this time, we'll open up for any public comment on this item before we ask for a vote. Seeing in here. Go ahead.
Sorry, Chair, I'm not seeing any.
Okay, thank you. All right, at this time, commissioners, like I said, this is an action item, so I will need a motion to approve the emergency regulations for the Golden State Teacher Grant Program.
So moved.
I'll
First from
second
Commissioner
it.
Cardoza, a second from Commissioner Maxey. Okay, one more time for any public comment before we do a roll call vote. Okay, thank you, Maria. I'll turn it over to you for roll call.
Chair Cifuentes?
Aye.
Commissioner Cardoza?
Aye.
Vice Chair Day?
Aye.
Commissioner Doppelmore? Absent. Commissioner Dow?
Aye.
Commissioner Gary?
Aye.
Commissioner Haynes?
Aye.
Secretary Maxey?
Aye.
Commissioner O'Brien?
Aye.
Commissioner Robinson? Absent. Commissioner Rodriguez?
Aye.
Commissioner Saravia?
Aye.
Commissioner Valladolid? Absent. Commissioner Bang?
Aye.
The motion carries.
All right, perfect. Thank you. All right, we'll go to move on to item number 8, ratification of emergency contracts and approval of contracts over $250,000. This is another action item, and I will turn it over to Lily Myers, our Division Chief of Fiscal and Administrative Services Division.
Thank you, Chair Cifuentes, and good morning, Commissioners. I have 2 contracts for action today. Both are with the Department of Social Services. The first one up is the reimbursement for temporary assistance for needy families, otherwise called TANF. The amount of this reimbursement agreement, is $400 million, funded out of the Budget Act of 2025, and goes through this current fiscal year through June 30th of 2026. TANF provides assistance and work opportunities to needy families by granting states the federal funds and wide flexibility to develop and implement their own welfare programs. California Department of Social Services sends TANF funds each fiscal year through the Budget Act to CSAC to use their grant delivery system to process and identify the California Work Opportunity and Responsibility to Kids, which is called CalWORKS, recipients that meet the criteria to receive post-secondary education grants. CDSS then reimburses the Commission for identified TANF payments. The second reimbursement contract, also with Social Services, is our reimbursement agreement for our Chafee Grant Program. The funding amount is $53,219,811, funded out of this current state fiscal year. which goes through September 1st through August 31st of 2028. Our Chafee Grant Program provides funding opportunities to eligible foster and probation youth. This agreement is to continue the transfer of operational responsibility for the Chafee program to the Commission. The Commission shall operate the Chafee program in accordance with the program instructions provided by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Administration for Children and Families, and the program guidelines developed by Department of Social Services. Social Services then reimburses the Commission for the administration of and payments made for the Chafee Grant Program. And that concludes the two contracts that we have. So I turn it back to Chair Cifuentes for any questions and final action.
Thank you so much, Lily. All right, any questions about the two proposed contracts, ratifications from commissioners?
I have a question.
Please.
Being new to the commission, is this just an annual budget, annual contract, or are there changes from previous years?
This is a standing contract that we renew annually, and there
Okay.
aren't any changes.
Thank you.
Other questions from commissioners? Okay. All right, this time I'll need a motion to approve.
So moved.
All right, Commissioner O'Brien, can I please have a second?
I'll
Second.
Commissioner Gary and Commissioner Cardosa, before we do roll call vote, do we have any public comment on item number 8, the ratification for emergency contracts?
Seeing none.
Go ahead and move to a vote, please.
Chair Cifuentes,
Aye.
Commissioner Cardoza,
Aye.
Vice Chair Day,
Aye.
Commissioner Dopplemore, absent, Commissioner Dow,
Aye.
Commissioner Gary,
Aye.
Commissioner Haynes,
Aye.
Secretary Maxey,
Aye.
Commissioner O'Brien,
Aye.
Commissioner Robinson, absent, Commissioner Rodriguez,
Aye.
Commissioner Saravia,
Aye.
Commissioner Valladolid, absent, Commissioner Bang.
Aye.
The motion carries.
Thank you so much. We'll go ahead and move on to item number 9. This is item number 9 is our 2026-27 state budget and reaffirmation of statement of policy priorities. This is also an action item, and I will turn it over to our executive director, Dr. Gonzalez, as well as Jessica Dykeman, our deputy director for policy and public affairs. And I think she's officially been here a month now, right? So just welcome, and hopefully it's going well for you so far with working with the CSAC team.
Yeah, thanks. It's been 6 weeks and it's doing great. We're doing great. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair Cifuentes and commissioners. I'll be co-presenting with our deputy director, Jessica Dykeman, this morning. This item has two purposes, and I'll ask the team to go to the next slide, please. One is to be able to cover our priorities for the 26-27 state budget process. And the other is, as we are not just welcoming Jessica and her leadership and role, shifting in real time with what is going on at the state and federal level in terms of our advocacy. So with that context in mind, I want to start off by just setting the foundation where our team is headed next when it comes to advocacy for next year. We are headed into a year 2 of a legislative calendar year. It is a very different context, and I'll let Jessica share a little bit more about that when I hand it over to her. But as we are headed in this direction, very clearly, we are not just planning and prepping for a very different California budget landscape. We're also continuing to manage the federal instability, not just by what's happening in courts, but in active, as you all know from the news this morning, federal shutdowns. Very real for our institutions, our students, and their families, and very real to CSAC. But what guides us is really the alignment with your commissioner-adopted policies and priorities that was established in your lab committee, chaired by Vice Chair Day. That has not changed. And so for all of our new commissioners, we added that attachment on there. Everything that is in that document sets the foundation for what are our policy priorities which really direct where is CSAC headed in terms of budget advocacy and legislative advocacy. There were two big changes that were made last year by that committee. One was making sure that we could pivot and be able to plan appropriately when things were shifting because of the federal landscape. And two was the alignment of the CSAC Student Success Blueprint and those goals that you have adopted. Next slide, please. You've heard Jessica talk about stability. When we think about advocacy, that is very much the key word. Our outreach is in a very different place. So I'll focus this presentation on our advocacy. We are not just stabilizing by addressing structural deficits, but stabilizing key priority areas. On this slide, you're seeing 7 different BCPs. Last year, we only submitted 4. As you know, some did not get adopted. So 2 out of 4 were adopted. So 2 of these are resubmission. Also, as a part of your advocacy, if you recall your advocacy day at the state capitol, for those of you who were able to join us, we added the Golden State Teacher Grant Program into that advocacy. So in total, what you're seeing here are 3 resubmissions. I want to focus in on 26-27 because that's essentially what we would be saying to the administration, the legislature, in terms of what CSAC needs to stabilize as an agency. And what we mean by that is to more effectively operate financial aid programs and administer financial aid on behalf of the state and multiple other agencies. As you just saw, we don't just work with the Department of Social Services, we also work with the Department of Military. Soon we'll be working with Cal Kids and the Treasurer's Office. Those agencies depend on our infrastructure, our staff. So I want to walk through each of these and really focus in on, yes, let's not let the numbers scare us. This is really an active, proactive strategy to be very honest about what is needed here at CSAC. You see state operations or requests for $10 million and local assistance. Those are dollars that go directly to our institutions and our students. More importantly, our students, a $75 million ask. You see that the number reduces down across not just ongoing years for 27, 28, because some of those costs are really on-ramp costs for some of the state operations that are needed. In total, we are requesting 10 positions here at CSAC. Again, we know that there are tough years ahead. Every year we hear that in the state budget. It's very rare to hear that we would have a surplus, but this is a very honest and proactive look into what is needed at the state for financial aid and for this agency. Next slide, please. I want to walk you through each of them because there's the proposal in terms of dollars, but what I want to focus on is really why do we need this? What is the problem that we are trying to solve? And how does that ask get us there? Even if we are not successful in our advocacy, the ask is just as important. It's a part of our storytelling. It's a part of how we help the state of California head in the right direction. Very similar to last year, right? It was a really big ask to right size and to solve a structural deficit for our agency, a historic structural deficit in a really difficult year. So for us, number one is IT. Vice Chair Day, you'll be very happy. This one is not a resubmission, but the history for this item is really this. We asked for an IT assessment from the California Department of Technology. You heard me say that our new CIO was successful in getting resources for us to get critical positions at the agency. However, we have ongoing needs that are a part of that assessment. Not an official audit, but an assessment. There were 33 different findings. Out of those 33 findings, we are working to achieve 16 of them because they are critical. This specific BCP would help us address 2 things. Number one, a need for a backup server here at CSAC. I've learned so much about IT and backup servers in the last few months, but I can tell you every agency needs a redundancy server. Every business, anyone in IT knows that that is not just a nice to have, it is a requirement. So this BCP covers both a redundancy server for here at CSAC, and it also allows us to modestly grow by 1 position by making sure that we have a data architect. Why? Because we are introducing new programs. We have a shifting landscape. And a data architect is critical to every agency. It's actually one of the required positions, very similar to the cybersecurity position that we got last year. A data architect is required, and it's a part of the IT roadmap for every agency in the state. CSAC has not and does not currently have that position. So the problem is quite clear. We're trying to address the critical recommendations in that assessment. And two, it allows us to not just have a failover system by having a redundancy server, but to set up ourselves for growth, particularly in data security and in our data architecture. The next BCP is really a resubmission from last year. Same BCP that you adopted. It essentially is really a strategy to bring in peer-to-peer advisors. These are our student workers in our call center, some of the most valuable employees that we have in that call center. They help us answer not just the phone calls, but the emails. So the proposal here is really, we are trying to solve the call volume and the long wait times that students and institutions are having to wait. Those numbers fluctuate depending on whether there's a deadline coming up. I've seen wait times of maybe 42 minutes, 45 minutes, and then wait times as low as 3 minutes. It just depends on the week. Either way, to solve this issue, this problem of long wait times, the call volume fluctuating, we need to be able to bring in additional student workers into the agency. This year, we were able to solve that problem through minor savings and bring in 3 student workers. This proposal is a $250,000 proposal to bring in student workers. It's a one-time appropriation for our student workers. BCP number 3 is really securing a relocation for CSAC. You all know that as a part of the pandemic, we had to scale down. We, CSAC, most agencies did. Most agencies are now trying to come back. There is a state mandate that all agencies come back into the office more than 3 days per week. But currently, we don't have enough physical space to bring back all of our employees. We have ran the numbers. The physical space would violate multiple state requirements as a part of labor agreements. And so this BCP sets the foundation for how CSAC can not just have a space, procure a space to right size to the physical space that we need, but really help us stay connected to serving the rest of the state. And I know that you all understand that, how difficult it is to have that smaller space. And I hear that from some of you as you have to travel to Rancho Cordova. So this BCP is proactive. Many other agencies will be asking for the same thing, but it's important for us to begin to make the request and to solve for that problem in a post-pandemic reality. Next slide, please. 4 is really to establish an internal auditing program. Most state agencies, and particularly as you're administering state and federal aid, have an auditing infrastructure. It is not just an auditing infrastructure. We already have one for institutions because we are required to audit institutions, but the internal controls for auditing infrastructure. I know Jessica comes from the former auditing space, so she can tell you a lot more about this one. She's very passionate. But here's a real problem we're solving for. We lack an effective internal audit infrastructure, meaning to keep up with the pace, the volume, but also being able to audit ourselves. No individual who's operating a program should be auditing itself. We need a separate team. Most state agencies have that. So the request is quite simple. It allows us to maintain and address our internal auditing functions. That is important for both the administration of state and federal aids. Number 5 is, I think of it as a resubmission because we added this. You all as a board were successful. We got resources for the Golden State Teacher Grant Program, but it was one time. And so we are very grateful for that. We continue to operate that program. That program right now, when you look at the data, we did a survey. 69% of all the recipients that took that survey, 69% were Latino, African American, API, and Pacific Islander. That means we are addressing not just a critical need to open up and address the teacher shortage pipeline, but making higher education affordable for the most important population, meaning we want our teachers to look like our students, But the other data metric for this program that we need to keep in mind, because it is a $75 million ask, by the way, it's a reduction from prior years, but that's what it would take for us to continue to operate and maintain the level of service. But 81% of the students that received that grant, who took that survey, they want to stay in their communities. That means that we are actually educating and helping to support and place individuals who want to stay in that community, the highest need K through 12 institutions. And that's really important to be able to say and to know about this program. The proposal is for ongoing funding. It does ask for 75 million, and it continues to have the modest administrative costs that CSAC would be able to have, 2.5 to administer the program. That has been consistent. And then the last one is our critical legal support. You all know that we have two very important people in our legal team. It is a very tiny legal team. And this one is a resubmission. It's a resubmission for several reasons. We see an increased need to not just provide additional regulations, memos, legal opinions, as we are living in a volatile space. But we also have a lot of workload when it comes to being able to shift the program in real time. Last year, this agency had to touch maybe 5 different programs, which require both a legal team sitting down and saying, what are we going to break? Is this a requirement? How does that get implemented in IT? What are the regulations that need to shift? Do we need to put out new guidance or new frequently asked questions? That's our legal team. And so being able to grow by 1 position, this is an entry level general counsel, the lowest entry level. There are 5 in the state of California. We're asking for a level 1. Will help us build succession within our legal team and hopefully bring us to a total of 3. So we have done the assessment. Those BCPs are very much a part of the work that needs to happen and the most critical areas for CSAC to advance. Next slide, please. So I went through that very quickly, but Jessica, feel free to add anything that I missed. I know that Jessica has been prepping with our team, asking the hard questions. You have no idea how helpful it has been to now go through these BCPs with her expertise and her lens as we have been preparing, but it has been a full team effort to get us to this moment. And she has also in real time been shifting to really think about how our advocacy needs to change. It's not just about asking for money next year, but it's about the education and her leadership. So Jessica, I hand it over to you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Gonzalez. Hi, everyone. Jessica Deichman, and I'm Deputy Director of Policy and Public Affairs. I'm really excited to be here for my first official board meeting. And just a quick summary of my role. So I'm over all of government relations. I'm also over outreach and marketing, which includes Cash for College and Cal Soaps. So I have a very diverse team underneath me. They're all amazing. I'm hopeful I can highlight some of them throughout the year for you. And I just wanted to kind of give you an overview of how we move forward in this next part of the legislative cycle. So next slide. So first, I wanted to start by noting a few notable bills. So SB 313, as you're aware, was signed by the governor, and this is great progress for CSAC. This would allow us to extend the financial aid due date when there are FAFSA delays. This is really important because it allows us to act quickly if the federal government does things to delay the FAFSA. So I'm really excited that that one was signed and is current law. Then we have SB 323. As you may be aware, that was held in the Appropriations Committee last week. This just means it's going to be a 2-year bill. So we'll talk a little bit later about some strategies I have for this one. So SB 323, as a reminder, would open up the CADAA to anyone who qualifies for federal financial aid in California. So that one is currently held in Appropriations Committee and will be a 2-year bill. And then the last one I want to talk about briefly was SB 305. This one was held in the first house, and it would have required all community college students to either formally fill out the FAFSA or CADAA or to formally opt out. So that one was held in the first house and did not advance to the second house during this session. So it won't be moving forward next year. Next slide. So I know you're all familiar with legislative cycle. I just wanted to give this graphic, I'm sure you've seen it before, of what a bill needs to go through to get to the governor's desk. So it needs to go through all of the different policy committees in the first house. It needs to go through appropriations, which can usually includes a suspense file hearing, and then it needs to get to the second house. So just making sure that we recognize where we are. As Dr. Gonzalez mentioned earlier, we're in the second year of a 2-year cycle. So the way that we advocate and lead will look differently than the way it was last year. So you will not see an introduction of new bills. You will see us continuing to push through our SB 323 that is currently still moving. And you will see us deploy different strategies in the second year of a cycle. So with this context in mind, I wanted to quickly talk about 4 strategies that we'll be using the next year to advocate for CSAC. The first is education and awareness. You've heard a lot about this. It really speaks to our message of stability. We need to educate legislators and members of the public and students of what we do, how we do it, and the ways that we need help and how we can improve our programs. So really focusing on awareness and education. The next is legislative implementation. So I don't want it to be lost that when we sponsor a bill or when we support a bill, if it gets through and is signed, we have an obligation to then implement the bill as it currently was signed into law. So I want us to focus on making sure we're implementing the bills in the way that they were intended. The next is internal transformation. So you've heard a lot about how we're challenging our team to look differently at things, challenging our team to look for different ways to help students. So we'll really be focusing on forming partnerships to help with that internal transformation and how we can move forward in a different way with CSAC. And then the last is just setting the stage for 26, 27, and 27, 28 advocacy. Some things are big lifts and they don't happen overnight. So you'll see me starting to lay the groundwork for big policy change. And although you won't see a bill introduced in the next year, it doesn't mean that we're not talking about policy changes that need to happen. And sometimes we need more than one legislative year to make it happen. So next slide. So what are my fall plans? I like to talk about actionable things. So the first thing we're going to do is host a fall hearing with the Assembly. And what this does, so an affordability, college affordability hearing. So what this is a nonpartisan way for lawmakers and advocates and program partners like CSAC to come together and speak about issues in higher education. There is no voting, there is no position to take. It's just really a place to educate and bring awareness to issues that students are facing. So I'm really excited for that. And it's really a useful tool that the legislature uses to help spread awareness among the constituency. So that will be happening in the fall. And then I am looking to modernize DSIG and the HBCU program. So this is not just through trade law bill. I will be looking to make changes through trade law bill to make things easier for students. However, we also need to look internally and see if the way that we're processing these programs is the most efficient way, not just to CSAC, but also with our external partners, and look for ways to streamline the process where we can. And then lastly is more of the relationship building. So we have a lot of advocates in the higher ed space, and a lot of times our priorities align. And I'm looking to build those legislative partnerships so I can leverage their knowledge and their funds and their connections, and I can help advocate for CSAC's missions through our partnerships. So you'll see a lot of partnership forming and looking for common interests among those groups. So those are the 3 things I wanted to talk about for the fall plans. Next slide. Sorry, this one got out of, sorry, there it is. Okay, sorry, my slides got messed up for a second there. Okay, so then also on the vein of awareness and education, I wanted to talk about things that we have in motion already and how it will help with policy changes, partnerships, and resources, which are, as you know, the three ways that we can make real change in California. So we've already launched the statewide college CEO affordability advisory. So this group is funded by philanthropy, and it's really to create momentum around education and awareness of problems. So again, it's just another neutral space where people can come together and speak about problems with CSAC and other segment leaders in a neutral environment and really try to get to the solutions-focused outcomes. The next is legislator caucus presentations. And for this one, I really am going to be focusing, or we are really going to be focusing on making data actionable. So as you'll hear from Dr. Moldoff later, there are a lot of great tools that CSAC has where we can really target in on where counties and school districts are falling behind. And we can provide that information to the legislative caucuses as we meet with them to show which parts of their districts are doing well and which parts could maybe use a little bit of extra support during the next cycle. So as we give these presentations, I'm really going to be focusing, my team and I will be focusing on making the data actionable for them. And then also, as you've probably heard, we're having an October launch week. This is really exciting. It's the first time we've done this, and my team is really excited about it. You'll have opportunities to partner with us. We're creating an in-person event to launch and an in-person event to end the week. So you'll see more information later about this in another presentation, but it's a really exciting way to kind of kick off the season for students and get momentum and excitement going around this year's session. And then 4 is our trainings and webinars. We do this really well. There's a lot of training that my team does that is exceptional. So we're really going to be focusing on continuing what we do, but also looking to meet students and families where they are. Is what we're doing in a certain area working for them? If it isn't, how can we change it to make them more digestible and workable for them? So you'll see some changes in those, but largely the training and webinars will remain the same and consistent and accessible for students. Next slide. So this one is a duplicate from the retreat, but I thought it was important to include here as well. So I don't want us to lose focus. These are the groups of students that we need to be uplifting. These are the groups of students who are having a harder time completing their applications and getting into the higher ed institution. So we're going to be looking for partners to help us uplift a group of students each month. So you'll see shortly that we'll be having a monthly, we're calling it a monthly theme, but it's mostly a monthly uplifting of a certain group of students. So if we have Foster Youth Awareness Month, for example, we'll be focusing with the partners during that month on how we help that population of students. So you'll see active opportunities to look for ways to help these students and partner with nonprofit entities for this. And there will be lots of opportunities for our commissioners to engage with us in this area. So I look forward to working with you all on that. Next slide. And this I wanted to show you just as a visual. We have this really great feature that Dr. Jess and her team developed. It's called the heat map. And it shows you just really easily which counties and districts, this one's by school district, are having a difficult time meeting the numbers or maybe slower than they were the last year. So as you can see, there's a couple of areas in deep red. Thankfully, we don't have a lot. And then there's a couple of areas in the lighter pink color. That means they're slower, but not quite worrisome yet. And what we're going to do, and this, as I mentioned, making data actionable, is in those areas, we're going to look for targeted outreach, social media advertisements, targeted ads, and specialty training. We're really trying to get to the heart of what it is that is lacking for students in these areas and how we can support them through our existing resources and partnerships. As I mentioned, our Cash for College, that's a really effective use of my team's time. And I think it's a really great program we have for California students. So we'll also be doing monthly themes and other things to get students engaged and wanting to go to these events to help get these numbers up in those red counties. And again, this is using data to empower not just external partners, but also my internal team. Where is it we need to go in and target, and how do we do that to meet the students where they are in those areas? So that is the end of my presentation. I talked fast and covered a lot of information. I have one more slide for questions, but I wanted to open it up and see if anyone has any questions, comments, thoughts. I thought ending on the heat map was really appropriate because it gives you a great visual of where we are and kind of the areas we can improve. So kudos to Dr. Moldoff and her team for developing that.
Great. Thank you so much. Do we have questions for Jessica or Dr. Gonzalez? Questions from commissioners? Oh, please, from Cal State LA, either Commissioner Dow or Commissioner Day.
So first of all, thank you both. Excited to hear about particularly a different way of looking at our legislative relationships and being deliberate about that. A couple of some comments, just then a couple of questions. Dr. Gonzalez, I'm assuming that the data architect includes system integration. So, okay, just want to make sure that that is a thing. Okay. And the only thing on the customer service piece is I think it's going to be really important that we think about how our customer service conversation is an integrated conversation. So the challenge of our families is they're not just hearing from CSAC, they're also hearing from institutions. And so how do we integrate those without trying to boil the ocean here, but people are needing really integrated kind of communication and help. So just a thought on that. The question that I have, Jessica, for you, so fall, you talk about a fall hearing on college affordability. Affordability means lots of things to lots of people. So maybe I'll ask you the question, how are you thinking about crafting or creating that in partnership with segments, or how do you see them as providing input to what we mean about affordability? So I'm just, and maybe that's not what you've thought, but I'm just asking a general question before we sort of host a conversation about college affordability writ large.
Yeah, that's a great question. And for the first part, for the integration, absolutely agree. And my team is actively working on a toolkit that we can disperse to anyone who wants it, where we have targeted messaging. It'll be the same messaging across all platforms with CalSOAPs and Cash for Colleges, and then we'll offer it to the segments as well. So definitely noted on trying to unify our communications with students, not just CSAC, but other entities that communicate with them as well. For the hearing, so it will be hosted by the Assembly. So we will be a partner with them in setting up speakers and topics. And as you may know, I was a Senate consultant in my prior life. So I've hosted a few of these type of hearings, and really I think we'll focus in on what students are being left behind and what methods are working and what methods maybe need a little bit of tweaking. So we really want to make sure. So it's college affordability, but it's also with a focus of how we can make a difference. So I can't speak to exactly what will be included in the hearing because it will be an Assembly hearing, but that would be my guidance to my partners there, was that we focus in on which students are being left behind and which techniques are getting the most response and which ones maybe we need to consider revamping a little bit. And I know Dr. Gonzalez probably has some thoughts as well. So that's just my general out the gate thoughts about the hearing.
Any other questions from our commissioners?
Thank you, Chair Cifuentes.
Please.
I have two questions. One is about prioritizing a budget change proposal for the Golden State Teacher Grant. I understand from your presentation that it's sunsetting this year. I'm making an assumption, and it may be wrong, but that was an original proposal that came from the legislature. I am wondering why, if that is the case, why CSAC would be making the BCP instead of the legislature proposing its ongoing life or some revamped version. So that's my first question. My second question is if you can give us some detail on why SB 323 or AB 323 stalled in approps. It was my understanding that was moving along pretty well, and all indications were that was gonna pass. I know that was a topic of our advocacy as commissioners on our lobby day. It seemed like a no-brainer, and there were lots of reasons why we are advancing this piece of legislation at this time. So just concerned that it's now moved to a 2-year bill. And again, unclear as to how it kind of got stalled at the last minute.
Jessica, I'll take the first question. So Commissioner Dow, this was added as a part of our advocacy. It was a part of every letter, our advocacy talking points, the continuation of the Golden State Teacher Grant Program. Coming in, 4 BCPs that were targeted on solving our structural deficit, for me in year 1, that was the priority. However, behind the scenes, we always advocated for every program that CSAC administers, knowing that it was going to sunset last year. It was not introduced in the governor's budget last year, and the Assembly led those efforts so that the program could at least have $50 million of support. So we're now operating a $50 million program, when in the past we've had more than $150 to operate the program. This year, we're in a different context, seeing not just the impact of the program, finally having the data and being able to stabilize the agency. We are the ones that should be advocating for this program. If we're not talking about the program outcomes, it has a really high risk for us. So we went ahead and completed a BCP that could summarize and tell the story of the program. Our hope is, the reality is it's going to be a difficult budget year, that if the administration is interested, they can introduce it. Otherwise, we'll continue to advocate through the legislative side. The Learning Policy Institute continues to be a big champion of the program, and so we continue that partnership as well as getting data from the CTC, the Teacher Credentialing Commission, because we need data on every single student who has gotten the grant and then completed their credential to be able to really make a full case. And then Jessica, question 2.
Now I'll open the 323.
The mysteries of appropriations.
Yeah. So I just wanted to, so first, I think while it's not our preferred outcome, it is still better than what could have happened. They could have held the bill and then the bill will be finished. Instead, they allowed us to move it as a 2-year bill. So as you know, I've only been here 6-7 weeks. CSU and UC did come out with costs on the bill, pretty substantial costs on the bill. And although we tried to negotiate language, I was not able to come to an agreement with UC and CSU. So I think that's why it got to be a 2-year bill, is we just need a little more time to negotiate through with them to determine what is really causing the cost for them. And if there's any way we can tweak the language or come to an agreement to where their costs are lower or non-existent, then that's what I'll be working for in the fall. Does that answer your question? I think that's really why it got held, is because of the costs from CSU and UC.
Oh, okay. Commissioner Rodriguez.
Oh, I can't hear him.
Can't hear
Hear
you.
you, Commissioner Rodriguez.
You're unmuted, but yeah, for some reason. Let's
Can you
try
hear me
again.
now?
No, yep, we can.
Great. Jessica, thanks for the presentation. I'm sure you feel like you've been here a year already, but really just want to give you kudos, and I'm glad that we have your expertise here at CSEC. I wanted to ask you briefly about the College CEO Affordability Advisory membership structure. Who do they advise? What is that all about? Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Rodriguez. I'll take that question. If you recall, we initially launched the Student Advisory Council, and that has been really critical to us in year 1, right? How do we deploy, and not just because we're making reductions and shifting eligibility for programs, how do we do that in a student-centered ways? If we're going to continue the conversations around Cal Grant reform, around additional resources for adult learners, or seeding a new grant just for adult learners, we're going to need to communicate with campus college presidents and CEOs. And so that was always a part of one of the strategies that I wanted to launch. This year is the perfect year. I'm working with philanthropy to really focus in on getting CEOs from every segment of higher education. Decisions have not been made, but the process will be really thinking through statewide, who are those leaders across the state who can help us lead not just regional college affordability, but help us inform and educate the legislature, other institutions, the public. I know when we did the onboarding for Commissioner Cardoza, I said, Commissioner Cardoza, I need you. I need your help as a part of this strategy, and I need you at the table. And so right now there's still time to give feedback, Commissioner Rodriguez and all commissioners, if you have suggestions.
Thank you.
Any other questions from our commissioners?
Uh,
Please, Commissioner Haynes. You're on mute, Commissioner Haynes.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Yeah, I want to just echo what my good colleagues have mentioned regarding the presentation. Excellent presentation. But I had a couple of thoughts. So I'm reminded that our focus is student-centeredness, access, and success. Greatly appreciate that. But in order to get there, I think we all realize that you need a strong infrastructure behind the scenes. And so my questions are about infrastructure, sort of back of house operations. Executive Director Gonzalez, you mentioned the IT findings, and you mentioned there were 33 recommendations, and we're focused in, or your operations focused in on 16 of those. Remind us how those 16 were determined. Was that part of the recommendations that these were in order, or what's the strategy in getting at the overall 33 recommendations?
Thank you, Commissioner Haynes, for that question. So it was not an audit, it was a voluntary assessment. There is a program at the California Department of Technology called their Stabilization Fund. And so we volunteered to be assessed. I needed to have a clear strategy of what was broken, where we needed to invest, and what are the areas for modernization. The reality is we have an outdated IT infrastructure, no matter how you look at it. I think those of you who are at institutions or who have worked at a financial aid office or counseling, you know that web grant system needs to be modernized. So 16 out of 33, the other ones that we will not be addressing urgently, meaning in the year ahead of us, those are all modernization, which is going to require a longer conversation with the legislature and a really big investment. I was not here, but my understanding is that the web grant system was modernized, and it was a conversation the commission started in like 2015. That's going to take time. So the 16 are the ones that are not modernization. They are identified as either high risk or a best practice. We've already addressed the high risk. I've given you some updates in my Friday updates, everything from automatic testing, retraining the staff and some of the coding across all staff. Those are the easy 6 things we've already accomplished. So 6 out of 16, check within the first 2 months. Now we've got to chip away at the other 10. That's going to take resources like that backup server, like a data architect, because that's ongoing work for the agency. But we also need to really think about our own current spending to be able to address those high need areas. We're chipping away at the 16 by what is most critical. I presented to the California Department of Technology myself, along with Dora Acker, our CIO, and we practiced maybe 3 times in front of that CEO and that entire board. But it was really well received, and they made an investment in us, so we will be successful. But the reality is, next year, when I see you, I'm going to be asking for a new web grant system because there is no other way around this. We have to start the conversation, though, at high risk updates, which is why we're so focused on the first 16 now.
Thank you. And for the record, I applaud the efforts. I mean, I think in terms of the K through 12 systems, as well as the higher ed systems, all during budget lean years, still investing in technology, especially with AI emerging. So appreciate and applaud the efforts. My second line of questioning is regarding the audit positions. And I think there was a request for 8. Yeah. Is that based on benchmarks, or what's sort of the basis for that determination of 8 positions? Why not 7? Why not 4?
Jessica, I'll have you chime in on the auditing while I pull up the BCP on my end.
Sure. So I know I worked with Lily and her team to kind of look at what other state agencies have for internal audit. So we do have a lot of sensitive data. We hold federal data, we hold state data, we hold information about students. So when thinking about an audit structure, we're not only looking for internal functions to be able to make sure we're doing things efficiently and effectively, but also we're looking to look for ways to safeguard other information. So yeah, I would look to the BCP for further details, but it was based on kind of what is a standard audit like classification, how many do we think we need for each program area and for each area of internal audit. So that's kind of where Lily and I's conversations went.
And Commissioner Haynes and commissioners, I have a little bit more detail on my end, so I want to make sure that you understand the four. Four of them are to be able to just keep up with the workload of what it means to audit our institutions, right? So we are backlogged. The backlog is more than 2 years. We'd like to be able to keep up and do more frequent auditing. We're still in compliance, but there are best practices, and that's what we should aspire for. The other four positions, one is for a management auditor, and then 3 associate auditors. This is just to be able to create the infrastructure for those internal audits at this agency. It is a requirement and a best practice across all other agencies, but CSAC does not currently have that infrastructure. I've worked at other agencies. It's always been a separate team, but historically, it has not had that function, even though it's a best practice and a requirement to audit our own work.
Thank you. And again, I'll end with where I sort of started. I appreciate the efforts, and in my mind, back of house operations get us to being student-centeredness.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Haynes. We'll go ahead and move to our Cal State LA crew. Commissioner Dow or Commissioner, or wasn't sure who. Go for it.
Just very, very quickly, I do want to let everybody know that for those of us who've known Commissioner Haynes, that's how he sounds all the time over the last 20 years. I just want to say that out loud. But the second point I want to make, Jessica, I think you identified it as your future legislative partners. So one of the things that I'm just going to make a suggestion, because I don't know how to do it, so this is your area, but it sounds like we need to talk to and think about, and I see it's very deliberate in the goals for the executive director. It's very deliberate in the CEO sort of consortium that Dr. Gonzalez just talked about. But it seems like we've got to find whatever this matrix is between with us and the segments. As you start to talk about future legislative partners, as I just heard us reflect on a challenge that we've had with the CADAA conversation, seems like we've got to figure that out in some way. So I'd love for when we start to talk about future legislative partners, for it not to be folk who are very committed and who should be our partners, but that we also talk about the actual segments who are responsible for delivering the educational infrastructure. And again, recognizing that we don't see everything the same all the time. I get all of that, but I think they've got to be in that conversation when we start to list out who would be our partners legislatively, and think through when we have those spaces where we can align and agree and work together. I think that's just going to be essential. So that's just a recommendation I would ask you to consider.
Absolutely. Definitely appreciate the recommendation, and 1000% on my radar, on my team's radar. So we are actively looking to strengthen our relationships with the segments. So thank you. Thank you for that.
All right, any other questions from our commissioners? Okay, at this time, this is just to confirm an action item. Right, correct, Dr. Gonzalez?
Correct. And
Okay.
commissioners, what you are voting on is really the reaffirmation. So it's the attachment that you have of your policy priorities. It has not changed. This is the same document that was adopted by your lab committee, but it will continue to guide us. You see, the BCPs are not just what do we need, but is it connected back to your goals that are in front of you? BCPs, of course, are proposals. It's not really something that we can commit to you, right? But what we can commit to you is the reaffirmation that we will follow the priorities that you have set for us. And so reaffirming that document for next year is very important.
Thank you so much, Dr. Gonzalez. So at this time, if we have no additional questions, if I can get a motion for a reaffirmation of the statement of policy priorities.
So moved, Commissioner Maxson.
Thank you. If I can get a second.
Second, Commissioner Gary.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Gary. A second. Do we have any public comment on item number 9?
Seeing none.
Okay, at this time, if we can move to roll call, please.
Chair Cifuentes,
Yes.
Commissioner Cardoza. Aye. Vice Chair Day,
Aye.
Commissioner Dopplemore, absent. Commissioner Dow,
Aye.
Commissioner Gary,
Aye.
Commissioner Haynes,
Aye.
Secretary Maxey,
Aye.
Commissioner O'Brien,
Aye.
Commissioner Robinson, absent. Commissioner Rodriguez. Got it. Commissioner Saravia,
Aye.
Commissioner Valladolid, absent. Commissioner Bang,
Aye.
the motion carries.
All right, thank you so much. All right, commissioners, we've been on for about 2 hours, so we want to take this moment to take a break. It is 11:01. Let's go ahead and plan to be back on by 11:20. The reason why I say that is because we are not taking a lunch break. We're gonna keep going all the way through when we come back at 11:20. So I want at this time to give you some time to go if you want to grab something, go to the restroom, do what you need to do for the next 20 minutes, and then we'll be back on at 11:20. All right, thank you so much.
You start classes yet?
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
Last, August 22nd, and Saturday was the official first day.
Okay, I thought so.
Yeah.
I still thought her went there. She really liked it. It's great.
Hey.
Yeah, been a few years.
Yeah.
Yeah, she really.
Is enrollment pretty healthy
It's really
right
good.
now?
We're up, I'm just looking at today's numbers. We're up like 3%.
Okay, good.
3%. So
Good.
we hit 33,000.
Yeah, it was nice. So it was like maybe fall of 2001 or so, we started doing college tours again, visits, and it was like after COVID, seeing students on campus or something about like that life and energy. It's really like
there's no parking. There's no parking.
It's a good balance. You know, I started out working for the Department of Education.
Commissioners that are on remotely, may you please turn on your cameras?
No, for a minute, I worked for the K-12.
Thank you. Teacher, I think we're ready to start. I'm gonna hit record.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for joining us again. Hopefully, everyone had a great break, and we'll go ahead and jump right in. And just another reminder, we're gonna go all the way through and not break for lunch and come back. So hopefully you have water right next to you and you're ready to go. Okay, so at this time, we'll go on to item number 10. This is updates on our 2025-2026 FAFSA and California Dream Act application. We're going to have, once again, Dr. Jessica Moldoff join us, as well as Dr. Ryan Fuller from our research data, research analysis and data team. So I'll turn it over to Dr. Moldoff and Dr. Fuller and Dr. Gonzalez.
Thank you, Chair Cifuentes. I'm gonna get us started just fairly quickly. Just checking that the slides are in the right one. Thank you, team. Commissioners, this is an item for celebration. It's an item for gratitude, not just to the CSAC team, but all of our colleagues on the outside. As you all know, we just went through the September 2nd California Community Colleges deadline. So the deadline for community college students, that was on September 2nd. We continue to encourage students to please apply. They can still apply after this deadline. As a big reminder, it helps them qualify for institutional aid and any non-competitive grants should there be resources still left. But this item is really about where are we landing? So what is our early data showing us? You will receive a full update, not just in writing when we have our data next week, but more importantly, at our next meeting to see where we have officially landed for 25-26. This, of course, is a separate item because at the same time, our team is also launching the 26-27 financial aid year. And as a reminder, we've asked students, parents, campus leaders, financial aid professionals, our CalSOPs and RCOs, we asked them to operate 3 different financial aid years in a period of 19 months. And so this item and where we're headed is going to focus only on 25-26, the preliminary numbers. And next slide. We're going to focus on what actually made a difference. What made a difference for us in 25-26 that we want to carry into the next year. And for that, I need our amazing research and data team, Dr. Fuller and Dr. Moldoff, who are going to lead us through this presentation and help us reflect, celebrate all of our students, families, and our college access professionals in every community across the state of California. All right, Dr. Moldoff.
All right, thank you, Dr. Gonzalez. It is still morning. Good morning, commissioners. We're here, as Dr. Gonzalez said, to present on where we have landed for the 25-26 application cycle. As we all know, the FAFSA and CADAA actually stay open beyond this point, but for new students applying for Cal Grant, the final deadline was this past Tuesday, September 2nd for community college students. And then of course we had passed the priority deadline in April 2nd this year. So first we want to, of course, center ourselves on our student success blueprint goals, namely equitable access to lead collective efforts to increase statewide awareness and participation in California's financial aid program. And within that goal, next slide, please. Of course, the first outcome we established in our blueprint, outcome 1A, is to increase the number of high school applicants who complete their free application for federal student aid, FAFSA, or the California Grant application, CADAA, by at least 5% every year. After the bumpy ride that was the 25-26 FAFSA cycle, we had left off at a 60% completion rate by June 30th, which is when the window officially closes for the universal FAFSA for AB 469, which requires LEAs to ensure that all graduating high school seniors complete a FAFSA or a CADAA application. This is unfortunately a fall from our high at the first year for AB 469. For 23-24, we had gotten to 69%. So we had set this goal of at least 5% to not only get back to that high of the 23-24, but also to exceed it. So our 2030 benchmark is to actually get to 80%. This was a goal we set based on other states' abilities or other states who have universal campaigns. That's the goal that we set as our North Star for this benchmark. And the great news that we have for today is that we achieved this first annual goal. In fact, next slide. So not only did we achieve this goal, but as Dr. Gonzalez mentioned earlier, we actually got to a 9% increase over 24-25. So we met it plus about 50%, almost doubled our goal by getting that 9% increase. So this is a great comeback. Definitely, we keep thinking about the 25-26 application cycle as a year of stabilization after, again, all the changes that we saw in 24-25. But this is more than just stabilization. This is really our comeback here. And we're hoping to continue this momentum through the 26-27 cycle. And definitely thank you to all of our staff, our commissioners, our partners, our students, families, schools that helped us achieve this great rate and will help us keep going in the subsequent years so we can get to that 2030 benchmark of 80%. And also we are on track to exceed last year's numbers for community college applicants too. So our 5% goal is based on that June 30th for high school seniors, but of course we don't just serve high school seniors, we serve all students applying for financial aid in California. So we are also tracking that September 2nd number, which again, was just 2 days ago. So as Dr. Gonzalez mentioned, the data we present today is not our final data. We still get a little bit coming in from the federal student aid after the next couple of days, but definitely next week we'll be able to provide our official number of where we're at. But first, going back to next slide. So once again, reiterating that June 30th race to submit deadline, we achieved the 66.5% completion rates. That's in the, if you look at the table, the bottom right corner, 66.52% for public high school seniors. Last year, it was 60.51%, so that's a 6 percentage point increase. And our high year was the 69.11%. So again, we're more than halfway there to getting back to where we were in 23-24. So we're really hoping that by continuing this momentum, and then we can even get and go beyond that as well, because we have a lot more resources when it comes to outreach than we even had 2 years ago. Next slide, please. And of course, we're also always wanting to benchmark ourselves to the rest of the nation. This slide shows where we're at compared to all of the United States for national FAFSA completions for high school seniors. Currently, the national completion rate is 58.5% as of August 22nd. Usually the data from federal student aid is delayed a couple weeks. And our completion, according to them, is 64.4%. Which puts us in at 7th in the nation. However, we want to contextualize that with our little box to the side, noting that this means that we have had over 335,000 completed applications as of August 22nd, in comparison to the top 4 states have 265,000. So again, it's a matter of scale for us here in California. We still want to be able to look to see how we're doing compared to the rest of the nation, but also recognizing and also being able to just do a pulse check really for our growth. Like if we're seeing trouble here in California, where might it also be happening in the rest of the country? We're certainly seeing that in terms of the completion rates for different demographics. We have some breakdown of high schools that have higher percentages of low income students, higher percentage of minority students. These are all tracking with lower rates of completion compared to those high schools that serve higher income students or non-minority students. And this is a national trend as well as a California trend. So again, trying to put our growth into context as well as serving as sort of a competition for the rest of the nation too, to see what we've been able to accomplish as a state as wide and diverse as California. And then the next slide, please. So here are the actual numbers. So it's just giving you a lot of percentages, but the actual numbers, as Dr. Gonzalez mentioned, we have received over 2.2 million applications from all California applicants, everyone who lists California as their state of residence. This is more than the last 2 years. Last year, we didn't quite get to 2.1, and the year before that, we were just above 2.1. So as a result, we have a 7% increase for all applicants year over year. For high school filers, this is the updated, the September 2nd number. Again, not the final September 2nd, but the ones we've gotten so far. We are at still a strong 6% increase over last year. And then for first-time community college applicants, of course, this is where our focus has been since the April 2nd deadline up to the September 2nd deadline. We saw a great 8% increase there. You can see even on the last 2 years where we had about 875,000 for the past 2 years. And this year's been a real strong year for community colleges to exceed not only 24-25, but also our 23-24 high benchmark years. So I think we could definitely say that it's been really great to work with the Chancellor's office in order to do a lot of targeted outreach there to make sure that we're seeing really positive numbers for those students. And then I will pass it on to Dr. Fuller, who's going to go over about how we were using data this year to make a difference.
Thank you. So what made the difference this year as we're looking at these are great outcomes, great growth we've seen, but what was the real thing that made a difference in 25, 26, and then going into 26, 27, and making the data actionable is the real difference here. We've done some work with our dashboards to try to showcase regional data in a number of ways, and we'll show you in a couple slides how that actually works. But it allows not only us, but the stakeholders that we work with and those on the ground to really be able to focus our resources to students both at the county level and down to the district level, and see areas that really need that help and that additional outreach. So we're analyzing data at multiple levels to really meet the needs for us and our partners as we moved through the cycle last year and as we're going into the new cycle this year. We also utilized a lot of real-time data, working jointly with the California Community College Chancellor's Office. So pulling data even down to the level that's meaningful for their districts and their colleges to be able to look in a real focused way at where the trends for applications are as we moved up through this September 2nd deadline several days ago. Next slide. So here's the dashboard. We actually just refreshed this a couple hours ago. So we do have some preliminary data through September 2nd, although more will come in as we move through the week. But you can see just how impressive the growth was this year. You can see that the yellow reddish line there. You can see where we started. We obviously got a late start this year with the FAFSA delays, but well above that light blue line, you can see that was the previous year. And then we also cause for celebration past the previous year line for all applicants as well. So very impressive growth throughout the application cycle there. You can see first year applicants there, still some very strong growth considering the late start there, and very much improvement over the previous year that we've seen there, kind of still trending pretty closely with that all-in year, the 2023 cycle year. On the next slide, you can see this is some of the regional mapping that we've been doing, and this was our way to try to really focus those resources and target areas across the state that really could use a boost from last year. And this, of course, changes as we move throughout the cycles. Some counties were much more red earlier on in the cycle. And those were counties that we really looked at targeting additional resources for. You can see there's still a few the more rural counties a little bit behind, but lots of dark green there. And that's what we want to see at the county level. And then on the right, you can see it's kind of hard to see it here. The tableau, all of this is in our dashboards. You can zoom in to really hone in on some of these areas, these counties throughout the state. But these are K-12 districts, and you can see the heat map shows green for those that are trending above last year, and then the red and lighter red colors for those that are a little bit behind. So really being able to not just target at the county level, but being able to look at the district level as well, especially for those high school seniors to see, where we can target those resources. On the next slide, there's a couple examples at the county level. So how can we unlock regional outreach here? So we know that counties can be targeted, but within the county too, we want to be able to look at, what are K-12 districts we can partner with to really try to improve those application numbers. You can see Sacramento, a couple examples here using Sacramento County, and another example here using Riverside County. And you can see the variation across the districts as well. The dashboard too does allow you to hover over these. So I imagine most of us are not exactly familiar with all of the district lines within the boundaries of a county. So you can, there's an interactive feature as well that allows you to hover over and, see what exactly those districts are, how much they're down, and really being able to really look at that sub-regional analysis for an impact. On the next slide, we have these are the list of counties that we are looking at compared to the race to submit numbers, and you can see the change. So this is very impressive change across all of the counties here. You can see the growth ranges from about 29% all the way up to Ventura. We saw a 39% change as well. So these are, you can see the counties with the asterisks there. Those are the counties that we had really targeted as focus counties: Solano County, Kern County, Ventura County as well. So really being able to mobilize those resources on the ground through RCOs, events in the region, Cash for College, to really improve those numbers. And you can see, especially in the case of Ventura County, a very large increase in the numbers there from where we were at the beginning of the year in February, when we were seeing some numbers that just from early on in that cycle that were fairly negative for some of these counties. And on the last slide, or the next slide, you can see the counties. This is a 4-year trend looking at the application completion rate for each of these counties. And these are counties we're targeting for the 26-27 cycle, counties that they had an increase for the 23-24 all-in year, but they've kind of stalled out a little bit. You can see the little bit increase from 24-25 to 25-26. But we think these are counties we can identify, focus and target next year. We think that we'll be able to see some growth, significant growth for these counties as we move into the next cycle to get them closer to those numbers where they were in the 23-24 all-in year.
Before moving on to the next slide, just really emphasizing what we've been able to do differently this year. So when this year first began, all we really had were the line graphs on back to slide 10, and we can switch back to there. Stop. Okay, this is all we began the year with. So this was like a really great way for us to see our overall trends, especially seeing like, oh, we're definitely above like the blue line, the better FAFSA year, but are we going to get to that gray line? It feels like such a long way away, especially at those like early couple of months where we didn't seem to quite be hitting the momentum. You can really see actually on the California applicants, the impact of the deadline extension, because we were like right below 23-24 and that the beginning of March, and then that extra spike in April 2nd is what really caused us to actually soar above and beyond for this the 25-26 year compared to 24-25. But this is all we really had. So on the next slide, we were starting back. Big math. There we go. Stop. So on this slide is really like what Ryan was doing with our Tableau. It's like, well, what if we already have a Tableau that breaks things apart by county and by school district. Like, how can we actually make this more of a visual tool so that we can still see things? We're not just like the race assessment dashboard is great, but it's not very like visual. Like, it's just a bunch of tables and it's got the dial, but like it's hard to really see where we're at for a region, especially when we think about actual regions rather than just individual counties or individual school districts. By implementing these map features, we're able to see right away. It's like, okay, so we have a lot of deep red, but like we know those are kind of the rural areas, those are like the mountains. But we are seeing some lighter areas like in the Bay Area, like maybe it's because like the students there aren't quite like feeling the pressure that they had in previous years. And also breaking this down to school district. And the next map is really, again, where we can do that targeting. Like if the big map shows us the regions that we need to focus on, the county level maps with the school district show us where in those counties do we go. Like, we don't just want to show up to like all of Sacramento County. That's impossible given like how many people we have. We want to be able to do that targets actually focus on the outreach. So then the next slide is what we did in February. So this is like right before the initial like March 2nd deadline. We're looking back to see like, this is when we were all really sweating because like we were really far behind. It's like less than 30%. Like when we're trying to get to like 60%, 6%, it's really far, it feels really far away. So we were able to do some like last month targeting for these counties. And we saw some good impact on them, but of course, the earlier we can start, the better, which is why on the next slide, we really have, we're identifying counties now, not just based on where they're at now, because of course the 26-27 cycle hasn't opened yet. But we want to be able to think ahead of like, well, how have these counties been doing historically? Where might we need to touch base with them based on their behavior on the last year? Because basically the mindset going into this slide is like, well, we expect kind of a baseline year for 22-23, and then 23-24, we see the increase with the all-in, the AB 469 year, and then we all have a backslide down to 24-25, and then we rebound for 25-26 because now we know what the FAFSA was all about. A lot of the technical issues have been resolved. So we have actually a couple of different pattern slides where one had like the traditional up and down, up, like down, up pattern. Some of them are just like flat line. We'll get to them later. But for this one, it's like really identifying those counties that had a positive response, at least by the data, to 23-24 and all of our efforts with the all-in campaign, but just didn't see quite the rebound that we had hoped for them in 25-26. So this is really about strategic thinking in specific areas, like how can we activate these partnerships early to make sure that we do see that comeback that we had hoped to see before. So next slide. So what made a difference? Well, obviously the deadline extension made a difference. I don't think we could have really done it without that deadline extension. And of course, we're all very grateful for all the efforts that were put into making that happen. Also streamlined communication and collaboration. We didn't just put the dashboards on our website. We talked about them in the all-in webinar, the statewide implementation work groups. Again, when we are providing data, seems like on a constant basis with the chancellor's office in order to really target districts for ads and their outreach purposes, really trying to collaborate on communication to make sure that the people who need the data get the data so that they can do outreach better. And also just an internal analysis of regional data to guide our decision-making in terms of where to create events, where to do cash for colleges, how to activate our existing partnerships with CalSOAP and different RCOs and all the partners who really, we need to have them come together to make sure that we are successful for 25-26, but also that we're going to be successful in 26-27, which of course will be our next presentation. But then with that, I will pass it to Dr. Gonzalez to close us out on this one. Next slide.
Thank you, Dr. Moldoff. Commissioners, we want to end and pause here, certainly as we're answering any questions that you may have, but really, I mentioned it was a celebration item. We would not be here without the organizations that joined us on a monthly basis. I know you've heard a lot about this implementation work group, but it was really impactful. And I just want to read out loud some of the names of the people that joined us on a monthly basis, because without them, number one, sitting down to coordinate communications, really sharing with us what was happening on the ground and how we could collectively address it. This year was already hard enough, but doing that coordination and communications, focusing on data. Every month we would show up with data and we would ask, who can have an additional event? Who can redirect their event? Everyone raise your hand, and everyone left that room with clarity on what was their next event. We also had historic partnerships. You see more than 30 different logos, because from one person in that room, someone would say, what about that organization? And then it would become a party with more people joining us, even though they weren't official members of our implementation work group. And then lastly, we had a communal space to just do the collective learning and the moral support. It was a really difficult year for students, for families, for the CSAC team. I know you know this. I came in and the structural deficit really impacted them. At the time, Vice Chair Day, you mentioned a $59,000 travel budget. That year, it was a $16,000 travel budget. So that was the budget to make this impact. And we wouldn't be here without all of the student presidents for the associations, Aditi from UC Student Association, Allison DeLuca, Christopher Gonzalez, Cindy Porter, who's retiring. She's one of our CalSOAP directors up in the north. Cruz Grimaldo, Dr. Dilcy Perez, Dwight Bonds, Dr. Bonds from Aid to Mend, Dr. Aaron Vimes, Dr. Nathan Evans from CSU, Dr. Omar Orihuela, the president of all EOPS here in the state of California, Emma Cabrera, Vice Chancellor Gina Brown from the community colleges, Gloria Corral, Elena Lopez from Pique, Jackie Nevarez, Jacqueline Pinero from U Aspire, Janice Warden from the Assembly Higher Education Committee, Josh Hagan from the Campaign for College Opportunity, Julieta Venegas, Julio Mata, Caitlin Goslinga, Maria Valencia, Maricela Hernandez from the Foundation, Matthew Elder, one of our leaders in the state, a CalSOAP director, Paige Dorr from the State Chancellor's Office, Sean Brink from UC, and Viviana Martin from Metros West. Those were the people that were meeting the CSAC team on a monthly basis and leading this work. So to them and everyone else who rode in the same direction, the outcomes were because of you, and we're very grateful. With that, I'll hand it back to you, Chair Cifuentes.
Thank you so much. Super amazing, great update. So I'm sure there's questions. I'll stop and let our commissioners ask questions. I'll start with our Commissioner Down, Commissioner Day.
Thank you, as usual, for an excellent presentation. And I want to particularly highlight the piece around people who had the significant bounce back. That was actually really helpful. I was glad to see my former county of San Joaquin having that big upswing. That was a really helpful piece of data. I'm wondering, Jessica, you had the NCAN data there that talked about these sort of low income, high minority districts. I'm wondering if in a future conversation, this is for consideration, don't need a response now, but where we could, if we have an exemplar or two that are those districts but are doing really well, that we might add to the presentation, because I think it'd be helpful not just to know who's having difficulty, but as you've already done, to show, hey, here are some folks who have really bounced back strongly. But if we could find some examples that are in those, in however valuable you believe the NCAN category is, if we had some of those and say, here's what's happened in these places that have had national challenges and are challenges in the state of California, but there's an exemplar here that is really doing something and we think this is why. So just something for your consideration.
Absolutely.
Other commissioners? All right, I'll give one more moment, but I wanted to share just, you know, an amazing update and just the work. And Dr. Gonzalez, thank you for announcing everyone, because I think it's so important that we thank everyone. And almost those people that you said, they don't want recognition, that the data makes them, that's all the recognition they need. But it's just, it's nice to appreciate the people and all the hard work. And I just think it's so important when I look at that national dashboard. Thank you for including that in that slide, Dr. Moldoff, because it says, even though we're seventh, like the number of students we help submit at 7 surpasses all the states above us together as one. And I'm not saying, I mean, it's all relative to the population, but the amount of work it takes up over 300,000 students get to completion, not just submission, but to completion is a huge effort. So I love that slide, because it's like, not that I make it reasons, because we'll hit number one day, but it's because it's a lot of work for that. So just want to say thank you for that. Any other questions for commissioners before we open up for public comment? Any public comment on item number 10? Okay. Seeing and hearing none, we'll go ahead and move on to our next item number 11, our 2026-27 FAFSA CADAA launch. So I think Catalina Missler, our Chief Deputy, will be joining us, and I think as well as Tay King, our Division Chief for Program Administration and Services, and I think Jessica Dykman is also going to join us.
Okay, it's 11:53, so it's still good morning, commissioners. I'm co-presenting this morning with Deputy Director Tay Kang of Program Administration and Services Division and Deputy Director Jessica Deichman of Policy and Public Affairs to present to you information on the 26-27 FAFSA CADAA launch. As you just heard Dr. Moldoff and Dr. Fuller on the outcomes of the 25-26 financial aid application season, we are very grateful for all of the work, as Dr. Gonzalez has mentioned, of our partners and the data that's used to target the specific school districts, and where we're able to offer resources and support to these districts that may have a limit on their own resources. As they learn about their data and the resources available to help more students complete the financial aid applications, it brings them hope that they're not alone in this work and that they can reach out to CSAC to support their work beyond what they can do. And this work was not easy by no means. There were nail-biting moments where we thought, oh no, are we going to be able to increase the number? Are we going to be able to see more applications come in? And to think about what more we can do to help reach students who are not applying. Next slide. So after a year of hard work to get to these increases, we know that we will need to continue the work of stabilizing financial aid for California students and families. After the 24-25 application season, where we really hoped it would be a better simplified FAFSA that many of us have been waiting for many years, unfortunately, we felt some of the pain, some of the pain that parents and students encountered who could not successfully submit their application. But we all understand with any new launch of a program or application, there are bugs. We expect bugs to get worked out and changes or updates to be made. So this past 25-26 application season was a more stabilized financial aid application year with the application, but it still had some lingering issues that the federal student aid continues to work on to resolve or to simplify. So our work relied on aligning with the student success blueprint to be able to ensure equity in all of the student success blueprint goals of access, to be able to continue to increase statewide awareness and participation in federal and state financial aid programs, support to continue to remove barriers that exist for students to enter and persist in their educational pathways, and ultimately success, completion, and create the metrics for future investments. CSAC's work is central to reaching our state's 70% post-secondary degree or credential attainment goal by 2030. Next slide. The work we did this past application season was successful because of our new implementation framework and continuing to stay student-centered and focused on those commitments in all of our work. CSAC is a small state government agency with 150 staff, and we would not be able to extend our reach statewide without this framework of having partnerships, resources, and policy changes. In our work this past year, we designed and acted with dignity and pure compassion for students. We fostered the use of data to identify where we needed to support and to collaborate with our intersegmental partners. And we enabled action, innovated, and reimagined our work differently. This mindset shift enabled us to contribute to reaching more students, thinking differently about how we reach students, establishing new partnerships, and seeking new resources outside of our general budget. This all enabled us to reach this increase in financial aid applications here in California. Next slide. So in 24-25, we came out of a financial aid application cycle that really tested our imagination and shifted our minds to work differently and to challenge ourselves to reimagine our services. After the board approved the CSAC Student Success Blueprint, and again, thank you, we began our new work with the 25-26 application cycle, a new 2025-26 statewide implementation work group that helped us to design in real time and to partner and leverage the work that they already do in meeting students and families and their needs. As Dr. Gonzalez mentioned earlier, that there were more than 30 new partners that supported this work and led in different ways in their work to reach more students and families. So where are we now? We're ready for a new application season. And our goals to reach student equity in 26-27 will continue with new partners, new resources, and continue to review our programs and processes that create barriers for students, and to determine whether we need to look at policy changes. So Little CSAC has a big mission and vision, and our uniqueness and expertise allows us to connect with K-12 and higher education, segments, campuses, nonprofit organizations, other state departments, and to directly hear from students. We are rich in data, as you've heard from Dr. Moldoff and Dr. Fuller, and that we'll continue to use to focus and mobilize our efforts in regions that are not supported. And we will continue to use our partners with CalSOAP and the regional coordinating organizations, Cash for College. All of those partners will help us to reach more students and families. And our goal to continue to increase and keep the momentum of more students and families applying for financial aid. I'll now hand it over to Deputy Director Tay Kang to talk more about the 26-27 FAFSA CADAA opening.
Thank you, and good morning, Commissioners. Thank you, Chief Deputy Director Bisler, for providing us where we have been and all the things that went into the last couple of years. And as we look forward to the 26-27 year, we have to ask ourselves, are we ready? Are we ready? Because it's upon us. It will be here in 3 weeks. It will be here before Halloween and Thanksgiving and Christmas, things that we haven't been able to do in the last couple of years. The good news is that CSAC is ready. We have been preparing for this moment for several months. We know that beta testing for FAFSA was critical for our preparation, critical to make us prepared for the 26-27 California Dream Act launch, also aligning with the October 1st release. Also just strategizing for our upcoming training and outreach and marketing season. So that's also critical. So we are ready. Our CSAC team is ready to go. Next slide. So I think you'll see a common theme in the last two presentations is that there's true recognition that the last couple of years has been hard, right? So the 24-25 or the better FAFSA year, FAFSA simplification year, whatever we want to call it, opened on December 31st, 2023. Technically January 1st, 2024. It was open for about 2 hours. And it was a rough start, but just wanted to acknowledge that wasn't too long ago. That wasn't too long ago when financial aid offices and high school counselors just encountered a lot of these troubles, technical glitches, delays, mixed status families unable to create FSA accounts, unable to complete their FAFSA. And that opened again on December 31st, 2023. And then 25-26, it opened December 1st, 2024. So that was the stabilization year. Not a lot of changes to the FAFSA application, thank goodness. It was really about restoring the trust back with the higher education segments, state agencies with federal student aid. They did a great job with their beta testing and making sure that there were not significant technical changes. And then this year, again, 3 weeks away, October 1st, it's our comeback year to open the 26-27 FAFSA. Again, this is a moment for us to really celebrate. It's a significant milestone if you really think about it. We haven't been in October 1st in a couple of years, and we're so happy that we're back in this place where we have this time in the season where students are applying for college that we can also outreach to them about financial aid. So just really wanted to acknowledge, as Dr. Gonzalez had mentioned earlier, 3 different FAFSA openings within 19 months. That's unprecedented. I don't know if we're ever going to see that again, but to say that we were able to live through that, that's quite the accomplishment. Just really wanting to acknowledge everyone that was part of just all the work that went into the last couple of years, and just acknowledging the fact that those were rough years. But now we're here and we're able to celebrate and really just look forward to the 26-27 year and the October 1st year, which is our comeback year. Next slide. So in terms of the changes to the 26-27 year, the beta testing, we are in full swing with the beta testing. We're in phase 2, where students and parents can sign up to be part of the beta testing. And the good thing about the beta testing is that if you are selected to be part of the initial or pre-launch opening as part of the beta testing, you will actually submit live applications. So if you submit your application during the beta testing, you don't have to come back on October 1st and resubmit your application unless you have corrections. And that's good for us in terms of our California advocacy. It helps us understand that the FAFSA application is stable. It helps our system, as we heard earlier about our infrastructure. We're able to accept those FAFSA applications into our system. And it's also a good test for us to understand that our DREAM Act application is also in alignment with the technical specifications as the FAFSA. So the beta testing has been very, very helpful, and we're beta testing 2. Just really quickly, there are some high-level changes to the FAFSA application this year. There is a simplified contributor invitation process. This has been a complaint for a couple of the 2 years since the Better FAFSA year of 24-25. Students often have to invite their parents to be the contributor, and the parent will go in and do their part of the FAFSA with the simplified process, where now they just have to provide their email. The parents will get the invitation and then a passcode with that email. There's real-time identity verification through the FSA account creation, and then IRS data retrieval will also be real-time. So both of those particular matches with the SSA and also with IRS are real time. So students don't have to wait in terms of creating that account creation, and they can actually see the direct data exchange with the Internal Revenue Service. The last one, asset calculation exclusions. This is good news for particular families with small businesses with less than 100 employees, also families with farms. The 24-25 Better FAFSA included those particular net values of those businesses and farms. 26-27, that will reverse that decision. So essentially, small businesses, they don't have to report these assets, which would definitely help the student aid index and then increase financial opportunities for these families in that situation. Next slide. As we march towards the March 2nd deadline, we also want to recognize, as we've been hearing throughout all of our presentations today, the work that we do, we don't do it alone. It's a collaborative statewide campaign. We'll continue to work on our partnerships with key existing groups, including the Implementation Work Group and the Student Advisory Council. These partnerships played an important role in getting us to this point, and they will remain in place as part of our strategy for continuity and readiness. While we anticipate some changes, maintaining these core partnerships reinforce our commitment to stability and long-term success. CSAC is also committed to continuing to provide professional development through training, the statewide financial aid workshops, the train the trainers, webinars, and other training events. We will continue, as you just heard, to make data-driven decisions to identify the areas and regions that need the most support. We will lean on our regional support with our colleges and university. They play such a huge part. Our CalSOAPs, our RCOs, our CBOs for statewide coverage. And of course, the CSAC team will continue to be active on social media and communicate with students directly to start or complete their application. Lastly, we'll continue to pursue any necessary policy and process changes to remove barriers for students that are unable to access financial aid or complete their application. Just like last year, as Deputy Director Deichmann mentioned in the prior presentation, AB 313, which gives now CSAC more flexibility and able to provide approve the FAFSA postponement in years when there are FAFSA delays. So we'll continue to pursue those areas in terms of policies and necessary process changes. Next slide. So commissioners, having reviewed the comprehensive ecosystem of partners and resources we just talked about in our prior slide, we now want to turn our attention to areas in which we are innovating. Our work is ever evolving, not only building on prior efforts, but also embracing new approaches with engaging with different partners. Central to all of this is the Student Success Blueprint, which prioritizes our focus on equitable access. And this directive remains the foundation of our efforts as we move forward. Next slide. This outcome 1A looks familiar because as you just heard it, the blueprint it's included in this blueprint. It's very clear, it's purposeful. Our goal is not only to have stabilized, but to really make a strong comeback this year. And we're ready to just do that. And so it's our moment, again, to rally together in 26, 27 to really get that momentum going and pursue that 5% increase. We know we were able to do it in 25, 26, and we'll continue to pursue that in 26, 27, and recognizing that this is not, again, work that we do alone. It's a collective journey, and it's important that we all move forward together, thoughtfully and intentionally. Next slide. Again, a little bit more reflection here. I know we talked about this in different presentations, but just reflecting again, the 23-24, which was the all-in and ready AB 469 year. This is where the universal FAFSA requirement was in place. We had the October 1 deadline, went all the way through June. This is the race to submit numbers. And that year, we were able to have the most FAFSA completion for high school seniors ever, 69%. I think our goal was like, we had to get over that 70%. It's like, we tried to do it. We fell 1 percentage point short, but we were really happy with the success of the all-in. And then, of course, 24-25, the better FAFSA year. That year was really, really short because again, The application opened on January 1, so it was only 6 months in which students could apply for their FAFSA, in particular for the race to submit. So you definitely saw that dip from 69% to 60%. And then this year, 25-26, in which Dr. Moldoff and Dr. Fuller just gave us the good news, was our stabilization year. The FAFSA did open on December 1st, went through June, 7 months of time. And we were able to bounce back and meet that goal of the 5% into 66%. So as we think about 26-27, what do we need to do to hit that 5%? It's our comeback year. We have the 9 months back to us from October 1 through June. And so in order for us to hit 71% from 66% to 7%, we would have to have the highest number of FAFSA and CADAA completion for our high school seniors. So somewhere around the 334,197 applications submitted to us. We think we can do it. Actually, we're confident we can do it. So we know that how we're strategizing and how we're organizing, we're very confident we can hit the 71%, meet our 5% goal. Next slide. You saw this slide earlier in terms of identifying the counties earlier for 26-27. You'll see that Ventura and Kern are back on here. This was in the 25-26, also identification of particular counties that we wanted to outreach to. They did a great job from February through June. They were able to bounce back and hit the 60% range in terms of FAFSA completion. But as Dr. Fuller mentioned in his remarks, they're back on here because they're still part of that 5-year outlook in terms of areas that we need to focus. The good news is that for Ventura County, we will be having our October 1 launch event at Ventura Community College. Deputy Director Deichman will cover that a little bit more, but we're really excited about the activities that we have planned for the launch event at Ventura. And again, these are some of the counties that we will be targeting for the 26-27 year. And as I just conclude my part of the presentation, this graphic, it may look familiar. It is a graphic that we shared at the August retreat as part of our discussion on equity, and in particular in relation to the first year of the Cal HBCU program. And what's important to emphasize here is that the partners that are critical to our outreach efforts and the collaboration is central to advancing the equity support. We're building upon relationships that we have already established. It's important to recognize that nearly half the partners on here we're engaging with, such as the student associations, A2Men, Umoja, there are already active participants in our statewide implementation work group. And additionally, the equity ventures have been added to join us in this upcoming year. One notable point is that as we discussed, the Black-led institutions are not fully represented here because they don't have a lot, there's a lack of formal association, but we look forward to engaging and directly working with the majority of these institutions on a regular basis. We are not merely initiating these partnerships. We have laid a solid foundation through ongoing collaboration within our statewide implementation work group. Together, we will co-design initiatives and regularly review data to effectively target the student needs. And because these organizations are our trusted partners, we are confident in making significant impact to the 26-27 academic year. Next slide. With that, I will pass it on to my colleague, Deputy Director Jessica Deichman.
Thank you very much for that. And thank you for the great laying the groundwork for what we're about to talk about. So it is now afternoon. Good afternoon, commissioners. I'm here to talk about the actionable deliverable items and what effective strategies we're going to deploy in the next year to ensure that we are able to meet the goals that we've set for ourselves. Next slide. So we're going to focus on a couple of things. So this is goal 1 and outcomes 7, 8, and 11. So the first one is to collaborate. We're doing that with Cal SOAP and with Cash for College, and we're looking for ways to continue to analyze data to ensure that our outreach is effective and is what is needed in the targeted areas. We're looking for ways to address language barriers, and that can be through leveraging our partnerships through trusted community partners to ensure that students don't experience barriers when they're trying to access information. And then advocate. And I will advocate for resources. You saw from our BCPs, we are actively trying to get the resources we need to administer the program effectively. So we will continue to do that. Some ways we're looking for innovation, as I mentioned before, targeted outreach, including language accessibility. So we'll look to our trusted partners to offer that language accessibility to us. We're going to empower new partnerships as TK-12. So as we mentioned in a prior presentation, starting our relationships earlier, not waiting until 12th grade to contact students, but getting them involved in 9th grade or even earlier in some opportunities, and empowering segments and nonprofit entities to partner with us and ensure that we're reaching every student. Also, the enabling of data, and we talked about that briefly as well, and statewide themes. As I mentioned before, it's not really a theme, it's more of an uplifting of a student group. So that will be something we're launching statewide to try to build momentum among not only our efforts, but also the efforts of our partners. Next slide. And in this one, I just wanted to talk about a couple of actionable things that we're doing right now. So in the CalSOAP area, WestEd recently completed an evaluation, as you heard earlier. And based on that evaluation, we'll be convening quarterly reflection work groups where they can talk to each other about what's going right, what's going wrong, ways to improve, and allow them to have more integration with each other and really focus on what's working for students and make sure we're changing quickly to adapt to the needs of students. We're also going to not only monitor rates of completion, but also persistence rates. What's happening to the students? Are they able to persist through to a degree? It's great to get them into the system, but we need to make sure that we're actually making the degree possible for the student. And then also, to the extent we can, offering one-on-one support to families. We've heard a lot that really that the direct support is what's needed by students and families. So trying to offer that more through the CalSOAP workshops. And then the Cash for College, and this is kind of goes hand in hand with what I just said, we're reimagining the webinar. It'll still be an hour, but in the first half will be informational, but then the second half will have breakout rooms where we're able to really connect with families and students and dial in on what it is they need and where their questions lie. So I think that's going to be really effective. And with that, we're adding 17 net new events. We're maintaining our existing workshops and everything we've done before, but we're also looking for ways to enhance and add to our workshops and our outreach. And then lastly, for Cash for College, the thing I wanted to highlight is that we are enhancing the online portal. So my team has been working really hard behind the scenes with our IT team to make sure that the portal is the easiest and most accessible way we can get using the tools that we already have. So I'm really excited to see how that develops. Next slide. And this is about the launch week. So I'm really excited about it. I think it will be something that will be a great opportunity to show our engagement, to build our momentum. And my team has been working on, I mentioned, a toolkit. So you will be receiving a toolkit with all of the relevant things to help us promote the week. The hashtag we're using is Your Future with Financial Aid. So we really want to integrate that into all of our opportunities, beginning with, as was mentioned before, our October 1 opening event in Ventura, where we'll have media and an event for students, along with planned training already that is happening, Cash for College and CalSOAP events. We'll have virtual roundtables, social media events, an RCO webinar, and then ending with another in-person event at the San Bernardino Community College, which will be really a great opportunity to engage. And I encourage any commissioner to engage with us here, and I would love to hear from you on ways that we can use your platform to elevate this launch week. So I'm really excited, and I think it will bring a lot of momentum to this year's cycle. Next slide. And then going back to SB 323. So I know we're all disappointed it didn't get out, but I'm looking at this as an opportunity to pivot. So why didn't it get out, and what can we do to still help this population of students? So what we are designing currently is what we're calling an interest form. So rather than just directly saying, oh, it's CADAA or FAFSA, and that's your only options, we have this third option where a student can come in if they're still confused, if they still have questions, if they're feeling uneasy, they can come in and request CSAC to reach out to them. And this will allow us to help students in real time and address their concerns and hopefully get them to an application. It will also allow us to collect data. So, whenever you're trying to move a bill in the legislature, they want to know, well, how many students are impacted? Who actually wants this? How much will it cost? This will allow us the time to collect the data on what types of students are coming in and what their concerns are. And I just wanted to emphasize in this interest form, We will be giving information and providing choices and informing students of their options. We will not be telling students which application to fill out. That will be completely a student-based choice, and our thoughts with the interest form is just to empower students to know that they do have options and that to make sure they have all the information before they make a choice. So although 323 is not implemented, we do have a plan B, and it's our opportunity to pivot and still help students where they are and obtain that data that we need to get. And then next slide. So as part of our goal for equitable support, we are hosting a webinar on the 11th of September with Cal Kids. As you know, this is one of our new partnerships. So I encourage you to spread the word on this webinar. It's really, Cal Kids is a really great program. And it's an opportunity to allow us to engage with students from a younger age. If we can get elementary school students and even younger in here, then they can know what options are available to them for their whole education rather than just waiting until 12th grade. So I encourage you all to register and share this webinar, which will be the 11th of September. And then my ending slide is an ask for all the commissioners supporting our comeback year. So is there a philanthropic partner or another partner that can unlock regional potential that you'd like to help a CSAC form a relationship with? I would like you all to send us your suggestions and contacts and help us make those connections so that we can really build the momentum and make this our comeback year and see the numbers get to the 71% or higher. I would love higher. So please consider providing that contact for us. And then the very last slide is opening up for questions. And I really appreciate all of your time and thank you for letting me speak. So we'll now take questions on this.
Thank you so much. All right, we'll go ahead and open up for questions from our commissioners.
I have a couple of questions. First of all, thank you for the last two presentations. They were fantastic, great data. Really, really appreciate all the work that goes into it and how easy it is that you all share this information with. You make it simple to read because I was kind of playing with some of the dashboards and appreciate you being able to give us your perspective on this. I want to just make sure that I'm reading a couple of these things right. I'm also, like I said, was playing with the dashboard. So there's a difference between when we say submitted applications and completed applications, right? So it looks like we had last year had over 335 submitted applications versus completed, and so I'm just trying to make sure that I'm understanding and comparing apples to apples. I think, Jessica, you shared that we had the largest, right, 335 applications. And our goal this year for completed applications would be get to the close to the 334,000.
So the 335,000 number, I believe, was from the NCAN slides. So unfortunately, we're not quite comparing apples to apples with the different dashboards. NCAN includes numbers from private schools, and they are also only using an age proxy. The FAFSA does not ask when you graduate from high school, so we just have to say anyone 19 or younger is a senior probably. Versus our Race to Submit dashboard includes CADAA numbers, and it also, we have GPA files that have graduation dates. So we do some additional filtering on that dashboard. So that's why the numbers are slightly different between the two of them, because NCAN only has the publicly available FSA data versus we have some of our own data that we can use to make a more precise estimate of high school seniors.
Perfect, thank you. My follow-up question was going to be, do we know, or what are we hearing about the difference between those who submit and those that are completed? Like, what are those numbers looking like? Are they growing? Are we closing that gap as well? And what are some of the barriers?
I think, and Tate, you can jump into, well, I mean, there are a couple different, the reasons why a application would be submitted but not completed is because they have some sort of problem with their application. Like maybe the student didn't assign it, their parent didn't assign it, like some sort of information is missing. There's something in there that's like causing like a flag. Like there are things called comment codes and error codes on it. So it's really just, the submitted just means that like they did most of it, but they have to go in and do like some kind of correction basically before it can actually be processed. There's also another category of applications that we don't know, which are ones that haven't gotten to the submission status. We've heard from FSA that there are a lot of students who are being hung up, especially on that contributor matching process. So again, like the fact that they're simplifying that process will really help, because they said it was like 5% of students were getting caught there, and we don't see those because we only see right now who actually makes it over that part of the process. So hoping that we'll be able to see better numbers and a smaller gap between that submission and completion rate as they kind of iron out those difficulties in the application process.
Yeah, and just to add to what Dr. Moldoff said, with the Better FAFSA year, they changed the way that we receive the FAFSA applications, as she just mentioned. And so for the students who have submitted, we have it in our system, but we don't see a student aid index, an SAI. So that when you don't have a student aid index, that FAFSA application is considered to be incomplete. And so even the higher ed institutions, they're unable to process. And so what we do is that we follow up with those students and say, hey, it looks like you started your FAFSA, you started your DREAM Act application, you're missing one thing, please go back to your application to see what areas you need to complete to have that be a complete application. Yeah.
We're even sending postcards, because we know during the summer when students are not in school, parents will pick up a postcard. So we have found some success in communicating and reaching those students to go through the finish line and complete that application. As well as last year when we had BCMC funding, we also tried robocalls, which I think were very successful because we were able to reach the parents too. So we continue to follow up with those students to get them to complete that application.
Good. And then my second question is a larger, and I don't know that we can answer it here, but you know, we've been hearing about the decline in our student population, right? Our K-12 population. And here I see an expected increase. And so I'm just, it's slide 12, I believe. I don't know if we want to go to it, but in 23-24, we had 466,000. In 24-25, we had 477,000. 25-26, we had 467,000 high school seniors. And then in 26-27, we're expecting a 407. So I'm just curious where those numbers are coming from and what we see, if you all have indication of what we see in the future years.
Absolutely. So yeah, Dr. Mola, please jump in. So we get the high school senior enrollment counts from the California Department of Education every year. There's a couple of different steps in which we get that data, but then they send us the final certified enrollment data, I think sometime in January or spring, depending on the timing. And so the 26-27, as noted in the footnote, it's an average of the last 3 years. We don't have the 26-27 senior enrollment count quite yet. We expect to get that sometime in the early part of next year. And so that's where we build off of the race to submit on those aggregate numbers for this entire state, and then the numbers for each individual high school.
I mean, do we know what happened 24-25? That just seems like a large jump in comparison to 23-24 and then 25-26.
I think when we had our conversations with the California Department of Education, there was definitely an increase of high school population in terms of the seniors. After the pandemic, there was a sharp decline, and then you started to see
catching up.
Exactly.
Got it.
Exactly.
That makes sense. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, other questions from commissioners? All right, seeing and hearing none, I just want to say thank you to the team. I think those numbers goes back to, I know the team continues to have conversations with California Department of Education to be able to get those numbers earlier too. Like, for example, we certify data in K-12. We have to certify it and it gets pretty much by October 7th, that second week of October. So it's something like we could get that number earlier as well, but I know that's always I think the California Department of Ed is always hesitant to say this is the number because it's like the first round of enrollment, but I think that helps more with that target that you're talking about. So just I know it's been a long conversation because I can tell you we can't get paid in K-12 if we don't certify that enrollment earlier than the spring, but for some reason the department's always hesitant to give out those final numbers by school, site and charters. So I also think we were coming back out of like a lot of some of the worst data sets of, from COVID and the pandemic and all that. It's like we're finally getting back to those numbers being more accurately reflective of our schools. So just a little side note there. But I think the possibilities are there. We always talk about, the students that are available, as we're navigating all these, direct admissions pilots and all these conversations. And the goal of CSAC is we're addressing the students we never saw. Right. We're always talking about the 50% of the graduates from the class of 23 or 53% that went on to college, but I always think about there's so many other ones there. There's plenty of students that are looking for connections, looking for opportunities. They don't know what they don't know. And when you're dealing with the state with so many students and families, when you look at those heat maps, look at those zip codes, everybody. Like, it's not just this county, it's zip codes within, like my county alone, major financial differences in one county, depending on the zip code. And I think I just want to applaud the team for going after that inclusive mindset of building a system that's going to address all students. And we're going to let the families decide if they want to apply or submit or not, but we're not going to make those decisions for them. So I just want to say thank you for thinking of that. And you're going after as many students as possible and not just having conversations about the ones that finally made it to the table. So with that, we'll go ahead. Is there any public comment for this item? Okay, I think the team is ready. Can we please be number one in the nation? Is that that's the goal. We need to show. I mean, we technically are when you look at the numbers. But anyways, that's my thoughts. All right. At this time, we'll go ahead and move on. I didn't see or hear any public comment, right? I think we're okay.
No public comment.
Okay, thank you. All right, we'll go ahead and move on to item number 12, announcement of the opening of nominations for the 2026 commission officers. I'll turn it over back to Ana Manuela, our Deputy General Counsel.
Right. Chair Cifuentes, I'm the one that's going to make it.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
So this is obviously the announcement that opening today for positions of chair, vice chair, and secretary for the 2026 commission. And if you, for reference, attached to this item is the commission's policies and procedures, in particular policy number 3, which outlines how that process should be followed. But essentially, I will be following up with emails to you, the commission members, from now until the deadline, which is 15 days before the last commission meeting of the year, which will be established once you vote on the next item in terms of your policies or your schedule. So anyway, you can refer to policy 3 in terms of the nominations and what's required. And again, it's for those 3 positions. And the period starts today. So that those will be submitted to me, and I'll follow up with an email after this meeting so that you all have my email address. I believe you do messages I've sent, but to ensure you are, I will send you a follow-up email reminding you that the period has started and the deadline for submission. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any questions for the announcement? Okay. Any public comment on item number 12?
Seeing none.
Okay, thank you. Just want to say, commissioners, we're all one team. So if you're interested in an opportunity, or we want to put in those nominations as well. Okay, we'll go ahead and move on to item number 13, presentation of proposed 2026 commission meeting calendar. We'll turn it over to Catalina Missler, our Chief Deputy Executive Director.
Yes, so we are heading into 2026. So this item presents the 2026 Student Aid Commission meeting calendar dates. It's recommended that the commissioners consider the proposed meeting dates that we have here before you. And this item will then be brought again at the December 4th meeting for final approval. We have, I could read the dates if you haven't had an opportunity to look at this. So if everyone has, there's any discussion on this. Also attached Attached was the calendar year 2026 with the holidays and other meetings. Any questions, any discussion?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for putting this together, and obviously in a very self-interested fashion, thank you for keeping an eye on the other segmental governing board meeting dates. I just want to throw it out there that I do hope that we get an opportunity. I know it says TBD. Would love to do another offsite retreat. I thought that last month's in Chula Vista was wonderful. It's a great opportunity being able to see services on campus, some of the work this commission has done in action. So whatever time that can be made to happen in the summer, I'm all for it and highly encourage that. But appreciate this.
Any other questions about the proposed dates? All right. Any public comment on the proposed dates for the 2026 year?
Seeing none, Chair.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, so I know we'll go ahead and take a look at those dates at our later meeting. So our last next item number 14, is there any new business to be considered at future commission meetings? So at this time, I'll open it up to any of our commissioners for any new business to be considered at future meetings. I think we have enough work already, right? You see the team, it's like, please don't unmute me. No, I'm just kidding. All right, any other new business to be considered? Okay, any public comment from anybody about new business to be considered?
Seeing none, Chair.
All right, thank you. So we'll go ahead and move on to item number 15, an adjournment of our meeting. But before we do that, I wanted to give this opportunity to Dr. Gonzalez. If there's any words or next steps or conversations you want to have before we adjourn today.
Sure. I say now stand between you and lunch or your next meeting, perhaps. So not a good place to be in, but thank you to the team. As you can tell, they've been working collaboratively across their divisions and team. That means you just left them speechless. That means your planning, your data was that good. And, I'm really proud of them today. And so commissioners, please, in your own way, if we could just say thank you to the team. And lastly, to Commissioner O'Brien, around an offsite meeting. If any of you would like to volunteer to host us, Commissioner Bang, please send me a note if you would like us to visit one of your campuses, or either yours or someone else's, if you have an idea, because we need a location for next year. And that's it, Chair Cifuentes.
Thank you, Dr. Gonzalez. Yes, take us all anywhere in the state. We love it. Thank you so much. Okay. All right. At this time, I just want to share, just thank you for today. Thank you for the team for the efficiency and time with the presentations, information. I think it's, I love the recommitment we have, because there's still so much work to do. And I think sometimes people come up with new goals and it's like, wait, we haven't even finished our initial goal. We haven't even reached our initial goal. So the reaffirmation of the work is important. So at this time, I want to go ahead and if I can ask for a motion to adjourn our meeting. Thank you, Cardosa, and a second by Commissioner O'Brien. Thank you again for joining us from all across California today, on behalf of the students of California. And I hope the rest of the fall openings go amazing for all students, the K-12, higher ed. And just thank you again, closing to our CSAC team for the relentless work they're doing for our students. All right, with that, we'll go ahead and adjourn our meeting at 12:39. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye.
She doesn't have a gavel? Can we send her a gavel?
I'll use the